Welcome to Prunership Diaries. Today we have with us Mukul Chowdhary, who is the founder of Yogi Re, an initiative to bring at least an element of being a yogi in everyone's life. He underwent yoga teacher training designed by Sadhguru, founder of Isha Foundation, before starting Yogi Re in 2016 to offer yogic tools for well being to one and all. Mukul's transformation from a software engineer to a full time aspiring yogi has inspired many thousands to pursue the timeless science of yoga. And I am so excited to talk to Mukul Chowdhary, who is a yogi in every true sense. Welcome, Mukul, to my show. And I hope to have an enlightening session with you today. So, welcome to my show.
Thank you so much for having me on this show. Looking forward to interact with you. Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much, and it's my pleasure to have you here today. So, without further ado, let's get started.
Sure.
So, my first question to you is so, you have been a software engineer. So, what triggered you to move from being a software engineer to an aspiring yogi? When did this notion start in your mind? Were you missing anything in your life while being a software engineer?
Okay. So this is a long time back, almost almost 12 years before.
Mhm.
So yes, I was missing something being a software engineer, and I was doing this. I was actually working as a software engineer in Motorola, and this
Mhm.
was way back in 2006 when I had finished my engineering. So after I had graduated from from an engineering college, so after that I joined Motorola and I was working as an software engineer in the digital
Mhm.
signal processing domain. So I was very much like most people from Bangalore who once they finish their education, they get into the software industry. I guess that's the same with you as well.
Yes, totally.
So and that's how it is for most people in Bangalore. It's either medicine or engineering. So I got into engineering and then got into software after that because and that's how that's where most of the jobs were. So yes, so when I started working, I was doing quite well and in terms of work, etc. And I was actually first of all, I was actually given a role where for most people this is like a very this is a role which they actually look forward to because this is a role in a company where you can even get to explore the aspects of development, and you're not just in testing, and you are actually working on products which are cutting edge and which are futuristic and which are yet to be released. So it was a very nice role. So there was no problem with the work itself,
Mhm.
and we were doing quite well. And during this tenure, we also had the fortune to even file a patent. So things were going quite well. So in terms of work, there was no issues, but definitely I never felt that that this was something which was really something which was really fulfilling for me. So that's something probably probably I didn't know what I'm looking for, but definitely there was a sense of void and feeling that where is this going to lead to. See, because there were so many questions in mind that okay, now I'm doing this particular job, and then what next? Because I saw that most of the people who are working, they're already started preparing for either a job change or or maybe a higher degree like MBA or something, because that's something which was the trend at that point of time, that once you finish your BE you get some experience, and after that you go for a MBA, and then after that you switch to something else. So I
Yes.
guess you know about the
Yes, the
yeah.
usual routine, yes.
Yeah. So basically, I was thinking, so okay, if this has to be done, then what next? And where? How do I know that where should I stop? and how do I know that I've reached the zenith or whatever else. So it felt like as if it's like an uncharted path and with no clear ending in mind. So it felt like as if you were just being pushed to kind of do things the way things work or the way things normally happen, and which most people think it's the way to do. So without having much clarity as to what you want to do, or where till what as till till where you want to go, or how far you want to go and when you want to stop, without having answers to any of these things, you just continue working and thinking that okay, next step will come, next step will come. So I knew that didn't have much clarity within me about these aspects,
Mm-hmm.
and there was definitely a sense of void, and also there was a sense of disconnect because I also saw that the work which I was doing, I always felt that I don't know why it was for me like this, but I always felt that
Yeah.
I wanted to see the impact of the work which I was doing directly,
Mm-hmm.
and for example, I saw that this was missing in what I was doing, because I was writing some code or doing something which which probably goes into some embedded chip, and which is it's not something which is not important. I'm not saying it's not important, but just that the feeling of satisfaction as to your work impacting someone, and
Mm-hmm.
how you are making a difference, that's something which you find it difficult to emote with that. It's something which you'll feel that as if whether this is something I'm really making a difference or not, and how is my work making a difference. So that's something which is a little difficult to connect with.
Mm-hmm.
So that was something which was missing, because I always felt that we should do something which is really making a difference in people's lives.
Yes.
So these things were going on in my mind, that okay, what
Mm-hmm.
should I be doing, and which I can create an impact. And at that point of time, I also had this entrepreneurial bug within me.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I always felt that people who are entrepreneurs, they are probably doing a great service, because not only are they working and doing something which is meaningful, but they're also enriching so many people's lives, because they are because of the work which they're doing, because of the impact which they have created, it has touched so many people's lives. So at that point of time, somehow it was there within me about this entrepreneurial bug, about how they are making a difference, and I felt if something like this even I could do. So because of all these factors, I feel
Right.
it's possible that I was looking for something, and though I was working and doing well,
Mm-hmm.
and still I was still looking for something, and what I was looking for I didn't know, but there was definitely some seeking,
Right.
and that came in the form of yoga and Sadhguru in 2008, when I first did the inner engineering program.
Mm-hmm.
So that was what triggered this seeking more intensely, actually. And so after that, so many things happened. But yes, so if the question was like if I was missing something, yes, it was.
All right. Thank you for that. I mean, I can so totally resonate your journey. I think being a software engineer and then moving on to a job and, actually feeling that aspect where you don't know if your job is actually making a difference to the lives of many, because you wouldn't know what is the work that you're putting out there. Is it reaching someone, or what is it? I think the entire vision per se, so totally resonate with that. um, and I want to ask you further. So I think, as you mentioned, you started yoga in the year 2008, 2009. And you also did later quit your job, and you volunteered at the Isha Yoga Center. Could you tell us about this period in terms of, again, what was running through your mind, and were there any changes, that you perceived with yoga and volunteering? And I also want to know what were the reactions from your family and friends, because for a fact that you had quit a secure job, and you were pursuing something which probably is not, I don't know, realistically understood by people. Yeah. So yes, what were you feeling in your mind, and what were the reactions from your close relatives, families about it? Yeah.
So that was a quite a stormy phase, actually. I would
Yes.
say, because obviously, when you are moving away from something like this, which is a stable career,
Mm-hmm.
and stepping into uncharted territory, and especially when it comes to uncharted territory, and that too being yoga. So
Right.
that is definitely, it will not be a good response, from the outside atmosphere.
Yes.
So it was definitely, see what was running through my mind and how it happened.
Mm-hmm.
There are many stories which actually, there were many incidents, or there were many things which led to things one after the other, and which finally led me to quit my job,
Mm-hmm.
because it's not a very easy decision to make,
Yes.
irrespective of you seeking, and irrespective of you longing to get to something. It's never a easy decision to break something which has been running, and which you have been
Mm-hmm.
doing. So it definitely, I would say, when I look back right now, it was a combination of many factors and incidents and events which happened, which finally
Mm-hmm.
actually, led me to take the decision.
Right.
So funnily, when I look back and I see, it feels like as if these things were, just it just fell in place. For example, when I started this journey with Isha in 2008 with the inner engineering program, that was my first exposure with Isha. I just came across an article from Sadhguru which spoke
Mm-hmm.
about inner engineering, and about how yoga can help in concentration and
Yes.
something related. So that was my first exposure to Sadhguru, where I read this article and it made a lot of sense.
Yes.
So, just like a curious engineer or anyone who's just looking to enhance
Yeah.
themselves, I felt that this is something which I needed, and I always felt that controlling the mind, or this is, if I could just do that and I could just focus on one thing
Right.
and not have thoughts running around in my mind, then that would be a great thing to have, and probably yoga can help with that.
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I actually ended up signing up for that program, and that was, my first exposure with Isha, in terms of programs.
Mm-hmm.
So when I just did this program, I never had any inclination that I would ever have anything to do with yoga full time, or I would, even look at volunteering or leaving my job or anything like that.
Right.
I was actually never I've never been exposed much to yoga before, actually.
Mm-hmm.
When I started with this, my exposure to yoga was very limited, and the only exposure which I had to yoga was I had just done some basic asanas and pranayam, etc., with a yoga teacher near my home, near my house,
Okay.
and I was just going there for a few, maybe for a few months. I went there, and I saw the benefits, but I couldn't continue. I just stopped after a few months. I think I just got caught up with some work, and then
Yeah.
after that, I stopped going. So that was my only exposure.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no other exposure to yoga or gurus or anybody else. So I was just like any other normal engineer, just looking to see how to grow in the corporate ladder. And I don't have any volunteering. I didn't have any volunteering exposure also before
Right.
that. That I've been volunteering, or I have had this culture or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
There was no such thing. So when I look back and I see, it was definitely a huge shift for me to even think about such a thing. So
Right.
this happened because of many factors. One factor is because once I did the inner engineering program with Isha, that itself was like a huge shift for me, and suddenly things which I never imagined which I'll be doing,
Mm-hmm.
those things started happening to me.
Yes.
So within a few months of me doing the program, I kind of broke through so many limitations within myself. Like I was struggling, like many software engineers, to bring some physical activity into my life. because it was just like sitting in front of the system from morning till night, and then back home, and then again the next day,
Yeah.
stuff. So, and on Saturday, Sundays, you feel like, just relaxing and not doing anything else.
True.
So I was pretty much in the same boat, and I felt like I needed to do some physical activity, but it was like start and stop for me.
Mm.
I started with gymming and then stopped, and I started with jogging some days and I stopped. So nothing was happening regularly,
Mm-hmm.
and I was thinking that, this is something which is not good for my health. Definitely, I should definitely start something for my well-being, but there was nothing happening regularly. So at that point of time, energy engineering happened, and to my utter surprise, after I finished the program, within a few days, I started jogging,
Mm-hmm.
and I started doing it regularly without a break. And within a few months, from someone who was struggling to even run for 100, 200 meters, I used to get tired even if I ran for about 100 meters or so.
Mm-hmm.
And within a few months, I was running almost 5 to 10 kilometers very easily.
Wow.
So I participated in a TCS 10K run in Bangalore, and I finished that 10K in about 55 minutes.
Oh,
So
wow.
this was, yeah, so this was just a huge surprise for me, because from a person who was really physically laid back, I would say, especially during the time I was working in Motorola.
Mm.
Because before that, when I was in college, I was very physically active. I was
Right.
playing sports, etc. So
Right.
lack of physical activity was not a concern. But the moment I entered in the industry and I got into a job, then physical activity kind of disappeared. So for me, it was a big change that I could, do this. That within a few months, I was able to run. I had a slight paunch that disappeared, and
Okay.
I started getting up early in the morning, and my productivity at work increased drastically. So all these things which a normal software engineer looks forward to, that
Mm-hmm.
how they can enhance their life in terms of their productivity, their efficiency, their energy levels, clarity, all these things started happening to me.
Mm.
So that's what encouraged me to go for an advanced program, where it was not an advanced program, it was just it was just a talk by Sadhguru. It was called like a satsang or like a discourse with Sadhguru, just to spend some time with him. So it was in the Isha Yoga Center in Coimbatore.
Mm-hmm.
So I heard about that program, and I felt that, okay, if he's the person behind all of this, and I got so much, from this
Yes.
program in just a few months' time. And one important thing, as I was saying, is never in my life I have done anything continuously for more than 20 days. And
Right.
for a change, after doing this program, I was doing this yoga non-stop for
Mm.
6 months without any break, not even a single day's break. And for the first 40 days, I was doing it twice a day. So this was like something which was completely new for me.
Mm.
And I said, if he's doing a program, I should go and attend. So
Right.
that's how I landed in this program, which was in the Isha Yoga Center.
Right.
And that was the place where I would say where the seeds were sown, because
Yeah.
that kind of that those 3 days which I spent with him in the Isha Yoga Center, that's where I really realized that somewhere I started getting answers to so many of those questions which were floating around in my mind, and
Mm-hmm.
I felt that that it's possible to work towards that, and it is possible to come to a state where these things get cleared within you, and you can realize the true purpose of what you're doing and why you're here or whatever else. So I felt that clarity can come if I just pursue this path. And that was when I took the first step when I was at the Isha Yoga Center,
Right.
because before ending the program, what Sadhguru mentioned was
Mm-hmm.
that do one thing today, that before you leave this program, I know that you'll be going back to your homes, etc., and you'll be doing your jobs,
Yeah.
etc., and you may get caught up with whatever you're doing, and still you may get back to your the way you were earlier,
Correct.
and no transformation may happen. So he was saying on the spiritual path, it's very important that if you want to take any step, if you want to move forward, you need to take action. So what he was saying is that today, what he said was that today, before you leave,
Mm-hmm.
just take one small step towards your spiritual growth. And he said that that's the only thing which I would request all of you do. That just take one small step. That before you leave this place, just break one limitation which you have, which you felt that something which you wanted to do and you couldn't do, or something which you felt like doing from a long time and you felt that you were not, this was something which is not possible for you.
Right.
So something like that, just think of that and just break that one limitation. So I don't know what happened to me, but at that point of time, it just struck me that today I should take some action, and that actually led me to just, it just occurred to me that that point of time that that when I had gone through this program with Isha, I just was, overwhelmed by the teacher, the way she was conducting herself, the way she was speaking, etc. And I felt if I could be like this,
Mm.
if I could become like this, where I could conduct myself so gracefully and
Yes.
I could speak like this, then it would be wonderful. So at that point of time, it just occurred to me that, I wish I could have been a teacher like this. But always, whenever I thought about this, I always felt, oh, this is definitely not possible for me.
All right.
This is about people who are, really seeking, or, the intense people and full timers or whatever. And I'm just a beginner. But
Right.
when he said that, whatever you've been thinking, don't think whether it's possible or not, just take a step. So
Mm.
that's why it just happened that I just came outside and then I saw a counter which said, if you are interested in teachers training, fill an application form there. So I just came out and I said, okay, I know I'm not worthy of this, but I'll just come. I just stepped out and I just at the spur of the moment, because I just thought I'll take this action. Because all the time I thought, just these words which Sadhguru said, just take action, just take one small step, one inner step. So I just came and I said, okay, I'm interested in the training. I'm interested in going through this training. They said, which one, full time or part time? I said part time.
All right.
And I just filled up the form and I just after that I came back to Bangalore. So
All
that
right.
one mistake which I made, and that was what actually led me to finally landing up there and leaving my job and going there full time. Because initially I thought I'll do part time, and then I was thinking, because the way I was, I could never do anything partly. I was
Yes.
always fully focused on something,
Right.
and I was thinking whether it will make sense for me to do something full time. But still, I was only thinking. I was not taking any action.
Ah.
And then the next step happened. There again, I saw a video where Sadhguru was speaking about the Himalayan Yatra.
Mm-hmm.
This you'll relate to because you love the Himalayas, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
So I just saw the video, and something within me said that I have to go here.
Mm.
Something within me just moved when I just saw that video, and I said I have to go. So again, without informing anyone, without taking any permission, I just signed up for that program.
Okay.
It was about 14 days with Isha,
Right.
going to the Himalayas. It was
Mm-hmm.
like going to Kedar, Badri, and
Yes.
all other places like this. So I just signed up for that because I just felt that something is drawing me, and I felt this could be the step two.
Right.
So the moment I signed up for it, I felt that now I have to go for this, and this is my second step.
Yeah.
Already I've taken the first step, and now probably this is the second step. Maybe some connection is there, and I that might give me some answers.
Right.
So that's how I took the second step. But I didn't know that second step will lead to many other steps. Because what happened after that was, to my surprise, because usually we had a very relaxed culture and there was no problem in getting leave,
Right.
etc. So I didn't ask anyone before signing up.
Mm-hmm.
But when I signed up and then afterwards, I thought anyway I'll inform my team. So I went and informed my boss that this is what I'm planning to go for. And to my utter surprise, he said, "No, that's not possible because we have an urgent project which has come up,
Uh-huh.
and we need all our team members. So no leave for the next few months." no
Oh.
long trip for the next few months. And I was like kind of shocked, because I had never thought that I wouldn't be able to go for this,
Yeah.
because it was like it came as a shocker for me. And since I had taken one step already
Mm-hmm.
by doing by signing up for the teachers training,
Right.
within myself I felt this is the second step and I should not go back. I
Mm.
don't know why I felt this was the second step, but somehow I was like kind of you know uh, thrilled that I took the first step at least,
Yes.
much to my own surprise, because I never felt that I will take even one step. I'll
Right.
only talk about it, but I won't do anything. But I took the first step.
Mm-hmm.
So I felt that now I've taken the second step, I shouldn't go back on it. Somewhere within me, it was saying that this is the second step. And
Mm.
you just take these small steps and don't go back on it. So that something within me which said that this is the second step and you shouldn't go back on it.
Right.
And then I told my boss, no, no, I have to go. He said, no, no, it's okay. Whatever you spend, we'll reimburse. And after 2 months, if you want, you take a 3 month sabbatical,
Ah. Okay.
and then you can go wherever you want. You can go. You can spend even longer time. Why 2 weeks?
Uh-huh.
But somehow within me, I was not convinced. I was like, no, no, no. I felt this is the second step, and I should not go back on it. So he said, okay, it's your choice. You can take a call.
Right.
Because we won't be able to grant leave.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So that's how the question came whether I should quit or not.
Mm. All right.
So if it was not for all these things, I wouldn't have quit. That's why I'm saying this. That
Yes.
if it was not for all this background,
Yes.
all these background events which happened, I wouldn't have. But then I thought this was step two. So finally, I put in my papers and I said, no, no, I've decided I'll go now. If I want to come back after the yatra and then join, I'll get
Mm-hmm.
in touch with you. But I also felt that that will be. I felt that both these things were linked, because I felt if I go there
Right.
and now if I come back and if I don't have a job,
Yeah.
because if I'm quitting and I'm going, then at least I can do this full time for some time.
Yeah.
So I can go into the ashram full time and then do the teachers training rather than doing part time. So
Right.
both these things were kind of linked. So I said, okay, fine, let me quit, go there. Once I come back, I'll go to the ashram, I'll do the teachers training full time, and I'll see whether it works for me. If it works, I'll continue. If it doesn't work, then I'll come back and I'll look for a job, because anyway, I have 3 years experience and getting a job won't be that difficult.
Yes.
But at that point of time, I felt it is now or never.
Mm.
If I don't jump the ship right now,
Yeah.
I would be stuck with that cycle which is normally the case, which is
Yes.
looking for another job or higher degree, and then
Right.
family and this and that, and there's hardly any scope for experimentation after that, right?
Mm.
So I just felt somewhere within me, I felt that I have to take a decision,
Right.
and doesn't matter what the repercussions are. So obviously the repercussions were severe,
Yeah.
because of the way it happened like this,
Mm-hmm.
that suddenly I had to leave my job,
Right.
and then leaving my job because I have to go to the Himalayas. So it's a deadly combination, right?
Yeah.
So obviously people around were like, okay, looks like he's renouncing the world. And
Yeah. Yeah.
so all these things happened, and then parents obviously they got really concerned, and that what has happened suddenly. At this peak of his career, and suddenly he leaves. He's already quit his job without even asking us,
Right.
and he's saying he's going to the Himalayas, and then after that he's going to the center for some training. So it was like hard to comprehend, and the kind of resistance which I faced, the kind of emotional turmoil which happened at home, all kinds of situations happened, and it was very very difficult to navigate through all of that.
Yes.
So
Yes.
somehow I just stuck through it, and I said, anyway, I've taken a decision, and it's okay. I was just trying to convince them and saying that it's just a matter of few months. It's not a long term decision.
Right.
It's not something which I've renounced or done this or done that. It's just a few months. I'm just experimenting with something, because I don't know when I'll get this opportunity, so I'm just experimenting.
Yes.
So that's how I was trying to convince people around me
Mm-hmm.
that hey, that's it's not what you're thinking. It's just give me some time. I think I need to experiment, and I need to have that space to at least experiment with what I feel is important. So I was just trying to convince them like this, but obviously the situations were quite stormy, and I hope no one goes through these kind of situations, because it was very challenging to kind of navigate through them and still do that. But
Yes.
I'm really glad now when I look back and I see
Mm-hmm.
that I'm really glad I went through all those situations and I still did that. I would really be it would be really a big regret for me if I wouldn't have taken that step, and I would have just gone on. Maybe if it was not for these situations which had pushed me to take this extreme step, I would have
Yes.
actually continued working and I would have done taken slow steps. Maybe I would have done few more programs and volunteered and did this or did that. But when I just went there, I had not done any volunteering. I had not done any advanced programs except one, because they asked me, no, no, to come here you have to do this advanced program.
Ah. Right.
So even actually, and the center, they were kind of shocked when they heard that I had already quit my job and I was coming. They said, "No, you were planning for part time, right? So it's okay. You don't quit your job right now. You continue.
Right.
Because
Right.
you're very new into this." I said, "No, no, I've already quit."
Right.
It's okay. It's okay. I'll anyway continue with it. So they were also surprised. Everyone was surprised, but I was actually just going by instinct. I
Yes.
was just going by instinct, because sometimes you have an inner voice which says that something within you is guiding you and saying that, yeah, just take this step. Don't know what will happen, but just take it.
Yes.
So just I
Yes.
was going with that voice and I was just trying to do that. So it I think different people who have stepped on to some, even entrepreneurs who do something, I feel they also go through similar kind of
Yes.
stuff in the sense that they leave something which is comfortable and they venture into unknown territory.
Right.
So, though here I was not doing anything entrepreneurial, but the kind of impact it created was very similar. So
Yes.
probably whatever was there in the back of my mind, these the things, it kind of worked and it created a situation so that I take action, because I was kind of always thinking that people are only talking about things. Oh, I don't like my job. I feel like I should be doing something more significant. I should be
Yes.
doing something which I care for, but they don't take any action. So I didn't want to join that bandwagon where I'm just going on talking and not doing anything.
Right.
So that was something always there within me, that if there's something which you feel is much more valuable, then work towards it and do that,
Yes.
rather than wasting your life in just talking about it and thinking that there's something better and
Yes.
regretting it later. So
Right.
somehow, so many factors just led to me making this decision and making that jump. And I'm glad I at least jumped, because once it was a jump from the normals, from whatever I was doing. After that, it was a series of jumps. So got used to jumping then. Got used to being in the unfamiliar territory and still thriving. So that
Right.
initial jump helped a lot, actually.
Yes, yes. I mean, quite a story out there, and I think I would like to say, I think the costly mistake which you mentioned, I'm sure it has turned out to be beautiful, right?
Yeah, definitely. Because when I look back right now, I would say I don't want to change even one thing, which happened.
Yes,
Because
yes,
when I was going through those situations earlier, I felt that why is it that I have to go through such difficult situations? But
right.
now when I look back and I see, I feel that I'm so lucky that somehow the situations were in such a way that I could take action, because I
Yes,
see so many people around me who are in similar situations,
right.
but they are unable to take action.
Yes,
And they regret this for a long, long time. That regret shows in so many ways.
true.
They are in very comfortable positions, they are in high paying jobs, they are in very secure
Yes,
kind of environments and with family and top notch education, people who care for them, everything. But just that they have this burning, sinking feeling within them that they are really not doing what they care for, or really something they are not exploring themselves to whatever extent they would like to. And I
yes,
see this sinking feeling within them, and I just it reminds me of the same kind of feeling which I went through.
yeah,
And the only difference is that I didn't let this stay for a long time, and I felt that I there was time to act, and I acted. So that is
Yes.
the only thing which I feel. So right now when I look back and I see that that action which I took, even
Right.
those one, even that simple step of implementation. So that is why in whatever I do right now, I've always made implementation my topmost priority. Because I feel
Yes.
that until and unless we implement something,
Right.
nothing moves. So in whatever we do, even with my programs, etc., I always stress upon this aspect because this is the only thing which has worked for me actually, and it has worked only because I took some steps in that direction. So whether
Yes.
it's entrepreneurship or spiritual journey or whatever else,
Correct.
it works only when you walk it, right? It doesn't work in your mind actually. It works only when you take the step, when you walk the talk. So that's how it is, I feel.
Yes, yes, so rightly said, and I totally resonate with you. And I think you clearly mentioned it out that many people out there probably who are facing similar things, but they're not able to take that action, that one step. Um, and again, you also mentioned that be it the spiritual path or the entrepreneurial journey, it's just about taking that step, I think, which many of us, I think, we probably are like, we fear about taking that step.
Yeah.
Or it's some, of course, something it's just running on in your mind, but of course you're not able to put it out into practical situations. Yeah, I mean, I totally resonate with you, and I just truly hope that people, I think one thing is, of course, I mean, if you're on an entrepreneurial mindset and you want to explore, of course that's one thing. But if you really want to explore what life is, I think you should be able to do that, take that step and explore, because that's for yourself, and that's to get to know about yourself, because no one else is going to do it for you. Right. And it is something that I think it's very inherent that we do it, because the more we know ourselves better, the better we are able to respond to things, situations. It could be relationships or anything in life. So yeah, I mean, so happy and glad that you could take that step, with all, of course, even though it was a very costly mistake, and of course your friends and families were probably figuring out, wondering what is this guy up to.
Mhm.
But so glad and happy that you did take that step.
Yeah, that's definitely it's definitely costed a lot, but when I look back and I see whatever the cost, it's good. It was
Yes.
something which I'm willing to go through. So that's how it is. And this is, as you were saying, that this fear of getting into unknown territory and not knowing what will happen next.
Yes.
This is something which is very common on the entrepreneurial journey or even on the spiritual path,
Right.
because you really don't know what you're stepping into, how it will turn out, what whether it will be something better than what you already have.
Yes.
So all these existential questions do come into your mind, and actually you don't have any clear cut answers.
Right.
So in spite of all of that, to still jump and
Yeah.
trust that, trust the process and think that something, if something has to work out, you have to put yourself into it completely and see where it how it pans out. So I feel that it's not just your effort, it also needs a certain element of grace,
Oh yes.
which a lot of people say it is divine help, or some people say it's the grace of a guru or whatever else. There is something which feels like something is pushing you from outside, something which is supporting you from outside
Right.
and making your path simpler.
Yes.
So that's something which I feel that probably that was a lubricant which was helping to make this journey or this transition smoother. Though it was not a smooth journey, but still at least
Yes.
it was something which you could think of at least attempting to do. And there is an element of outside support as well which happens, I feel.
Oh yes, absolutely. Right. I mean, of course, again, I mean, it's just wonderful, and kudos to you for doing all of that you have done before, and now what you're doing. So moving on, so once you, of course, quit your job, and then you started the full-time training, the teachers training. You also went about Hatha yoga teachers training. So could you tell us more about this? And yeah, and what was your experience from going through this process, of course, with the training? And what were the differences that you saw within yourself? Yeah.
So the Hatha Yoga teachers training was something which I did a few years back. It was in 2016.
Right.
So though my journey with Isha started in 2008, as I said,
Mhm.
this training is something which I did recently.
Right.
So this happened when actually I had to move back to Bangalore, and I had to. There were situations which I felt that I needed to take care at home,
Right.
and I felt that I should be in Bangalore and still continue in terms of my spiritual path
Hmm.
and do whatever I can being from here.
Right.
Being in Bangalore, I still felt that I could, if I could do something where I could contribute in this particular aspect, and as well as see if I can take care of my well-being in terms of my survival and whatever else I need being in Bangalore.
Yes.
So that was when I was looking for something where I could do on a full-time basis,
Hmm.
and then the Hatha Yoga Teachers Training Program, which is offered by Isha, which is basically a program where you can take up yoga as a path or as a career, if one wants to put it across in that way.
Hmm.
Traditionally, like how people look at a career.
Yes.
So if you want, you can take it in that way, where you get certified as a teacher, and after that you can start your own studio, or you can become a freelance teacher, or
Hmm.
you can set up a business or an organization, or you can work for the foundation. So there are many models uh, which you can take part, or which you can adapt
Explore. Yeah.
once you do the teachers training program.
Hmm.
So again, this was something, it's not something which I had planned for or which I was looking for, because for me the most important part was just that I continue to seek,
Yes.
and until and unless I reach my full potential, it doesn't end.
Yes.
So the journey still goes on. So that was the only aim, and since I was in Bangalore and I was thinking that how to utilize my time and energies in such a way that I am doing something which I really care for, and at the same time survival aspects are also taken care of. So that's when this teachers training came to my mind, and I said, okay, let me do this. And then I happened to do this teachers training program, so I went there for this full-time program, which is for about 5.5 months.
Okay.
And you go through this program, and it's a residential program.
Hmm.
So it was again a major decision for me, and this was in 2016. And again, it was like similar kind of situations, because I
Okay.
was kind of settling down in Bangalore and thinking that parents were thinking that, okay, now probably he's gotten back.
Okay.
And we have things in control now, and that was the time when again it was stepping into something which I really didn't know what would happen. I didn't even know whether I would be able to make this happen for myself, whether I would get anyone to come for my classes,
Mm.
whether I'd be able to make it like a sustainable effort for myself,
Right.
because there were hardly any stories where people said that yeah, this worked very well for them,
Okay.
or something like that. People were saying, some of them were saying, yeah, it's okay. Some of them were saying, yeah, I'm struggling, and it's I need to do something along with this as well. I need to do a full-time job as well, because looking at setting up setting up something on your own, and that too related to yoga, it may not be a very it may not be a very what do you say, interesting proposition,
Lucrative. Okay.
or maybe lucrative or whatever. It's not like you do an MBA, or you do a software engineering
Yes.
course or something, where where you know for sure that once you finish that you land up something with something. So it's not like that. So again, this was like uncharted territory, and whether this will work out or not, I didn't know. But then I just saw that this is what I really care for, about yoga, because this is something which has really impacted my life. I know this is impacting many others' lives as well, and this is something which I cannot separate from myself. Is this something which, even if I want to, I cannot separate from myself, because this is something which has become a part of my breath, you know. So I felt that I didn't want to do anything else except something which is related to this.
Mm.
So this came like a corollary that, okay, this is something which can work, because this is something which, you can make it happen.
Right.
So I said, okay, let us try, let us do this, and we'll see how it goes. So that's how I took up the teachers training and said, okay, let me see. This is again a new territory. I
Yes.
don't know how it will work out, whether it will work out on what will happen after this. All these
Right.
things were like a question mark, and I would say when I look back and I see now that whatever was there in my mind earlier, which is about entrepreneurship, which I spoke about back in 2008.
Right.
So it kind of led to a culmination with this actually, because
Mm.
here was my chance to actually try and
Yeah.
set up something entrepreneurial.
Right.
Try to set up something on your own, because once you finish this training, you are left on your own, right? You have to
Yes.
see how to make things happen. You have to see how to build this up from scratch.
Right.
As a yoga teacher, it's people may start a startup in different fields. Some may
Yes.
start something which is related to software, or something which is related to the food industry,
Mm.
or analytics, or whatever else. So here it was about yoga, but it was a huge difference,
Mm.
because this is not something which I was trying to get into, because I felt it was having something at the end, or it was lucrative or whatever, because obviously it was not.
Right.
And this was just because I felt that this is the only thing which I really connect with, and which I feel so deeply for, and which I really care for. And I can see this happening, that how this is transforming so many people's lives, including mine. So I didn't want to spend my energy and time in doing anything else except this. So that's how I said, okay, this is one way to spend my time and energies productively, and this is a way to do that. So that's why I did the teachers training, not knowing where it lead to. So
Right.
that's how I started doing the training. And
Okay.
once I came back from the training, again there was pressure on me to join again a job and do this part time.
Yeah.
They said, yeah, yeah, you continue with your job, because just before going for the training, I had actually started working full time
Mm-hmm.
as a marketeer in a startup actually.
All right.
And I was doing quite well there again, though it was in a different line. Now, instead of software, I was in marketing, because I
Okay.
made transition after many years of volunteering and being in the Isha Yoga Center for 5 years.
Yes.
I had learned different kinds of skills, and then when I came back to Bangalore, I felt that I should try uh, entering into marketing, because that's something which I really felt I was comfortable with,
Right.
because I liked something which was more dynamic, where it involved speaking to different kinds of people, interacting, hands-on stuff, seeing the results. So I felt I should look
Yes.
for something related to that. So that's why I had started working uh, in a company as a marketing head.
Mm-hmm.
And I also felt that that was something again I took up only after I exhausted all the options with respect to yoga. Actually,
Right.
when I came back, I thought I'll start something on my own with respect to yoga. But that
Yes.
point of time when I tried, I didn't actually come up with anything which was substantial,
Okay.
because neither did I have any certification,
Mm.
nor did I have any teachers, under me or whatever else. So I felt that it was difficult to pull off.
Yes.
So then I joined this job and I was doing this marketing, and then again I had to leave this, and because it was a 5 month training program, so I had to leave this. And
Right.
then when I came back, there was this pressure of again going back to this industry,
Yeah.
which was very easy for me to do, because now I had exposure. I had software exposure, I had marketing exposure, I had volunteering, developed different kinds of skills, so it was very easy for me to go back.
Yes.
But I didn't. I resisted that temptation, and I said that no, I've spent so much time and energy, so I will give myself at least 3 to 6 months where I will go all out and trying to make this work.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, I'll take a call based on how it goes. So I just stuck to that, and within a few months, I realized that if I just give myself completely to this, there's enough scope and there's enough, for me to grow on this aspect, and there's I just need to focus on this and give it my 100%, so after that I didn't look back, and uh, since then, after I started Yogi Ray, when I came back from the training till now, it's just been I've just been doing this full time, and
Wow.
I've never considered looking at any other option, part time or anything else. It's just been on. Yeah.
Wow, wow, that's wonderful. Okay, before we get on to Yogi Ray and of course your experience with respect to the venture that you had started, I want to ask you a little bit more about the Hatha Yoga. So, of course, there are many forms of yoga here in India as well, and of course, when we look into the West, of course, there were something to do with power yoga, which started out there. Of course, the altered form of yoga and gymming and all of that. So I want to know, I mean, how is classical Hatha Yoga different, or how is it unique? Could you, share some insight into this?
See, the thing is, you must have heard of classical music, right?
Yes,
Or classical dance.
correct.
So when you say classical, it means something which is original, which is in its pure form
Mm-hmm.
or undiluted form.
Yes,
So similarly, when you say classical yoga, it's like the yoga of where it was just the way the yoga was transmitted earlier,
right.
and there is no dilution, there is no modification,
Mm,
there is no innovation on top of it.
correct.
So nowadays it has become fanciful to innovate in terms of yoga.
Yeah.
People think that by adding their own stuff to it, they are doing a great job. So now you
Right.
find different kinds of yoga. You'll find so many different. There are people who are saying that they have started some goat yoga, bear yoga, this all acrobatic yoga.
Yeah.
And, they're like just trying to add something on top of yoga, and they're trying to make it cater
Right.
to what is really what people are looking for. For example, if they feel that people need something highly physical, to go with it, so they'll mix that along with yoga, and they'll call it one form of yoga. Or
Right.
if they feel people like dance, they'll mix dance steps along with yoga, and they'll call it another form of yoga. So if you look at all these things, these are just innovations or modifications to the original form of yoga. So if you look at the original form of yoga, which is classical yoga, which is a series of asanas,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
etc. If you look at Hatha Yoga per se,
Right.
so this is so just transmitting that in its original form, in its pure form, in its undiluted form.
Okay.
That is what classical Hatha Yoga is about. So Sadhguru was very clear when he started this that he wants to see how he can train teachers to impart yoga the way it is, the way it was originally being transmitted,
Right.
and without any distortions, without any modifications, without any frills, without
Yes.
any fanciful ideas or modifications to that. So that is where classical Hatha Yoga, it's something which is basically trying to see how the original form of yoga is transmitted and it's not lost.
Okay.
So you will see that this form of yoga is very different from the kind of forms of yoga, the commercial forms of yoga which are floating around in the world nowadays.
Mm,
So there are so basically, if you really go deep into it, you will see that all these commercial forms of yoga which you find existing currently,
right.
these are just forms which people have invented by themselves
Mm,
because they have probably picked up something from some place,
right.
and they have innovated.
Yeah.
Because for example, in the US, people felt that unless they sweat, they are not doing anything physical. Their physical exercise is not complete. It's
Right.
not a workout if they don't sweat.
Yes.
So what they said is, okay, let's combine yoga with heat. So
Mm.
they started doing yoga in heated rooms.
Oh.
Yeah, and
Okay.
you must have heard of hot yoga.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So that became like a rage and trend in the West
Right.
because it was called as hot yoga, where they do
Mm-hmm.
yoga in high temperatures, and because of that they sweat,
Right.
and they feel okay, now they're getting both the benefits. They're removing toxins from the system. They're doing yoga as well, and now they are doing this in high temperatures. But
Right.
actually, what Sadhguru was saying this that this can cause cellular damage, and this can actually be very harmful
Mm-hmm.
for people practicing yoga in high temperatures. So the problem with innovations is that people may come up with things which are actually which can be actually damaging in the long run. So when it comes to subjective sciences like yoga, you should always leave aside your intellect and see that what is the form in which it was transmitted in its original form, and just do that.
Mm.
So it feels very difficult for you not to add your own stuff to something, right? You always want to add your own stuff to something.
Yes.
So to have that intelligence to understand that whatever it is right now is the way it is, and that is much more powerful if you don't add your own nonsense to it. It takes a certain level of intelligence and devotion.
Correct.
So because that is missing in the world nowadays, because people always want to look at the situation, the commercial benefits.
Correct.
Oh, they feel that okay, people are anyway paying for workouts and they want to sweat. Let's add yoga to it and make it, viable, commercially viable. So they wouldn't battle even an eyelid to even do that,
Right.
because there's so many things like this. So which has actually led to yoga becoming more like a physical discipline. So now people think, oh, yoga, okay, instead of yoga I'm doing zumba, I'm doing acrobatics, I'm doing so many other things, or I'm just doing some other dance form. So it's fine, anyway I'm getting the benefits. So they think that this is also another physical discipline.
Mm.
So this is the problem which can happen when you tend to dilute something.
Right.
So the idea of offering classical hatha yoga is just this, that without any innovations, without any distortions, without any modifications, just offer the original form of yoga. So you will see that this is kind of very different from what is available commercially. You may not use any music, there are no props, there is no physical touching. So, like this, there are many things which are very different from what people normally offer in commercial forms of yoga, actually.
Okay. All right. So moving back to your initiative which you have started, Yogi Ray. So I'm very curious to know why the name Yogi Ray, and also could you tell us the story behind putting Yogi Ray together, and what were the challenges that you came across while you were setting up Yogi Ray?
Okay. So, first of all, why the name Yogi Re is, it's actually, there's no big story behind it.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that, when I wanted to name the organization, I wanted to keep something related to being a yogi.
Yes.
So, this is something which I always longed for, that when I heard Sadhguru mentioning in the introductory session that wherever you are, you can be in yoga, and you can be in an office, or you can be in a kitchen, or you can be in the mountains, or you can be in an ashram.
Right.
This is about how you're within yourself, and it's not about what you do on the outside.
Mm-hmm.
So he was mentioning that this is something you should try to become. So ever since I heard that, I always long to come to that state where, irrespective of wherever I am or whatever situations I am put in, I
Mm-hmm.
can still have an element of being a yoga, and that is what a yogi is. That's a yogi is someone who is living yoga,
Mm-hmm.
or who has at least an element of being a, at least an element of yoga functioning within.
Yes.
So I felt that whenever we name our organization, it should be something where this basic purpose of trying to inspire people, or trying to see if at least an element of
Mm.
this comes into their life. So I wanted to have something related to being a yogi in the name, and I was thinking somewhere along those lines. And then there was this song also which had, an Isha song, Sounds of Isha, which is
Right.
the homegrown Isha band. They have a
Yes.
song which has, yogi in the lyrics. So
Mm-hmm.
I was thinking like this, and initially we created an event which was like a yoga fest.
Right.
which was having different kinds of yoga programs.
Mm-hmm.
And I just this name occurred to me, this Yogi Ray, and so basically I thought that let me name that fest as Yogi Ray, and I just named that fest as Yogi Ray, which is the Hard Yoga Fest, and
Okay.
it went very well. It was one of the first kind of such a program, and
Mm-hmm.
it got a good response. So then this name was there, and I was just thinking, what should we name our organization? And then this name was there, and it occurred to me that should we try and keep this name for the organization? So I wasn't very comfortable because it sounded okay to me, but it didn't make it. But I didn't know how people would perceive it and what they would think about it, because it was not about me. It was whether it would resonate with people. So then I thought that let me ask a few people. So I had a group of my participants, a WhatsApp group. So I just posted over there asking, that I'm thinking of naming this organization, and I thought, how would this name sound to you if we
Right.
name it as Yogi Ray? It's very simple. It's easy to remember, and it has the word yogi in it. And
Yes.
we just added Ray. Just it's like a colloquial term, It
Correct.
doesn't have any great meaning, It's just that it's like you're addressing a yogi,
Mm.
something like that. Something,
Yes.
uh, you know, uh, you're just calling a yogi something like
Yeah.
Yogi Ray.
Yogi Re.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that's why I just thought of doing that, and I asked them, and majority of them said, yeah, it's a very nice name, and you should keep it. Some of them suggested other names, and from after going through all those suggestions, I decided that we'll stick with this name. I
Yes.
asked some creative people also who are
Mm-hmm.
into this creative field like films and etc. And
Right.
they also said, yeah, it's a very catchy name, so it's a nice name. So I said, okay, fine. So
Okay.
that's how I decided, okay, we'll go ahead with that.
Mm-hmm.
And after that, so many people have come back and they have mentioned that it's a very nice name. It's very easy to remember, and
Yes.
so that's how it stuck.
All
so,
right.
so since then, we have been using the same name for all our programs whenever we do any program. So we started with the event name called as Yogi Re, and then finally we made it the name for our organization, and
Mm.
how it's been running. So it's been almost 4 years now, and since we started using this name, and
Mm-hmm.
I hope you like it too.
Yes, yes. I mean, as you said, it's like very easy to, a very like, very apt, and it's very colloquial. Yes, Yogi Ray. So yes, it's very catchy. Yes.
So that's how we started. And regarding the initial struggles or
Mm-hmm.
whatever,
Yes.
so basically, for me, even before we thought about a name, etc., we were actually still doing programs and we were operational. So
Mm-hmm.
actually, I just thought about a name almost, I think, more than 8 9 months after we
Mm-hmm.
started. So it wasn't a big priority for me. It was just that we were doing many programs and people were saying it's good that if you form a name and offer it under one banner, so that that registers in people's minds. So it yeah, there was no struggle in terms of in terms of what we were trying to do with Yogi Ray, in terms of programs or what we were trying to do. But yeah,
Right.
there were initial challenges of trying to get people.
Mm.
So that's something which was there. There was I remember there that one of the first programs which I tried out under the banner Yogi Ray was actually, before I started with this, I actually uh, taught a couple of programs with other teachers
Okay.
where I didn't have any brand name, and I just used their premises and I was teaching over there,
Mm.
and that was easy for me to get started because it's always something which you need to first focus on is your teaching. And because once you've come out of training, you'll be focusing on that. But if
Mm.
you get too caught up with organizational aspects, then you may get burdened with that, and that may kind of take a lot of your time, because you'll think about logo, you'll think about brand name, you'll think about so many other things, you'll think about website and other things. And the core part of it, which is imparting this to teaching this to people and making sure they have a good experience, that's something first which you need to work on. So I spent some time, a few months, just doing that,
Mm-hmm.
and trying to see where I don't get too involved in the organizational aspects. And when I felt that it was good enough, I was able to manage these things. Only then I thought of starting something under our own banner.
Right.
And so it was a very organic journey.
Mm-hmm.
And initially, as I said, the challenge was trying to get people. So one of the first programs which we held, which we tried to organize under the Yogi Re banner, was a 21-day program.
Right.
So actually, why I planned that program was because I felt that in 21 days I can kind of experiment and teach
Mm.
everything which I have been trained for.
Yeah.
So I felt that that would be a good, you know, start for me to at least try and teach everything which I am trained for.
Mm.
So I wanted a platform where I could kind of test and see how it goes, everything which I'm trained for. And I felt that if I do a 21 days program, that will give me enough scope to offer all these programs. So
Right.
that's how I thought I'll design a 21 days program. And, I fixed up a venue which where everything was set, where I didn't need to buy any equipment. Everything was intact. So I just rented out that place,
Mm-hmm.
and otherwise I would have to purchase all these equipment, etc., and
Yes.
then set it up. So I said that I didn't want to spend time and investment in doing that right now because we didn't have any funds.
Mm-hmm.
So I said, let me start with some place where already these things are set up.
Right.
And that place was almost more than 15 kilometers away from my place. But
Mm.
still, I said, okay, let me try and do that. So I just took that place, and then I started thinking of how to get people for the program.
Right.
So I tried through my network, but then again in Bangalore, based on where you're doing the program, you might get people nearby to that.
Mm.
And the 21 days program, people may not travel from very far.
Yes.
So I was trying, and the challenge was how to get people for such a time commitment. So then we also thought of trying out some Facebook ads.
Mm.
So this was a period, initial pay phase, when we tried out everything which I was exposed to earlier in
Right.
terms of marketing. How to get people. So I tried that as well, and it so happened that we got a lot of responses in terms of the ad. That
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people said, yeah, yeah, we're interested,
Okay.
and but only thing is, if you do it in near our location,
Yeah.
or if you do it if you do it next month, or if you do it sometime next week, not this program. So
Mm-hmm.
like this, we saw so many inquiries coming in, but not all of them were converting for this particular program.
Yes.
So finally, these were the challenges, and finally we ended up with having, I think, about three three or four people. I think we ended up. I think three.
All right. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And I just thought that okay, let me go ahead with it, because so much has been spent in terms of those ads, and
Yeah.
it was a learning for me that though, though we got a lot of responses, but the conversion was less.
Correct.
And I felt that okay, anyway, since I've committed, for me, whether it's three people or 20 people, the effort would be the same. So I said, anyway,
Yes.
I want to experiment, so let me go ahead with it. So I started with this program, and then as I was doing this program, I think midway, even I think two of them dropped out.
Oh.
So they had some injury or something, and or they
Mm.
were not feeling well, and finally I was left with just one person.
Oh.
And I was thinking, just for this, I had to kind of travel almost 15 kilometers, and it was early morning class.
Right.
It was like 6 a.m. or something in the morning.
Yeah.
So imagine getting up so early,
I
then
know.
my two-wheeler and traveling, and then reaching there,
Mm.
coming back after the class, and then again going doing the same thing like this for 21 days.
Right.
So it was a it was a lot of work, but that's how it was initially. So I still said that since that one person has is also coming from such a long distance, and I have already committed, so I just stuck to it. I said, okay, fine, we'll complete the program. So that 21 days was a huge learning experience for me in many ways. First of all, in terms of how to do the program, I was anyway. The main reason why I did the program was because I wanted to get that exposure of teaching everything, whatever I'm trained for. So that was met, because whether it
Yes.
was one person or more than that, at least I could deliver it, and I could at least get feedback, and I could understand that where I need to work on. So that was at
Right.
least. But uh, the making it sustainable part didn't work.
Yes.
Because,
Yes.
because traveling and the hall rent, and then the marketing expenses, etc. So I think that was one of the programs which made me realize that there's a lot to work on and optimize.
Right.
Otherwise it won't be sustainable. So
Yes.
I think I didn't even break even for that program, I think. Or
Mm.
maybe just about it happened that just about break even happened.
Right.
So then I thought that I should think about something
Mm-hmm.
where it's a more sustainable model,
Yes.
and where it's much more easier to get people. So that set me thinking, that what should I do?
Yes.
For me, it has always been so that I always try to learn from whatever mistakes which were made, or whatever setbacks have happened, and try to see how I can improvise on that, or use that
Correct.
as a platform, or an opportunity to try and come up with something new.
Correct.
So then I thought about this, that what I should do, and then finally I came up with a new concept, a new structure and design, which is
Yes.
what I was talking about, right? That fest, which I called as Yogi Re.
Yes.
So then I said that instead of me trying out a 21 days program where I have to get people's commitment for 21 days,
Right.
instead of that, what I'll do is I'll offer all the programs which I did in 21 days,
Mm-hmm.
but I'll do it in a way that people can choose whichever programs they want.
Okay.
Or if someone wants to go through all, they can still go through all.
Okay.
So I kind of made a hybrid model,
Right.
where I just tried. Plus, I tried to do this in 10 to 12 days instead of 21 days, so
Mm.
that some sessions I try to do in the morning, some in the evening, and
Right.
on weekends more sessions. So that way I was able to optimize on the hall usage.
Yes.
Because the more number of days you use, the more you have to kind of spend on the rental part, right? So when you are trying to do something like this, you have to look at all aspects. It's not just about teaching.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, you will have to look at, where are your expenses, how do you optimize, how do you manage stuff, etc. Everything, So all these things you have to take care. Your how much you are spending on advertising or
Yes.
marketing, or awareness creation, etc.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought I'll probably design a new model where I'll have lesser number of days. So it'll be more intense for me. It'll be more hectic for me. I'll have to take more sessions per day,
Yeah.
and I'll try to make it optional so that people can choose if they want to come for all the sessions. They can do that, or they can just come for one session or two sessions or three sessions,
Right.
whatever is interesting for them and whatever they need. So this way, what will happen is the number of people who enroll will increase for me, because
Right.
not everybody will be committed for 21 days, but there are many people who may just come for one program.
Correct.
Some may come for
Yes.
two programs. So that way I said, and then I thought I'll hold an introductory session in the beginning
Mm-hmm.
where I speak about all the different programs I'm offering and why this program is useful, and which program should they choose based on their health conditions.
Right.
So I kind of kept that session free,
Mm-hmm.
that can get more people for the free session. And then during the free session, I'll disseminate information about all the programs, and also guide them as to which program or programs would be suitable for them.
Right.
This was a completely new experiment, which kind of no one had actually done before also,
Yes.
and also which I thought that I should do because of the experience of this program. So
Yes.
I tried this out and then it worked very well actually.
Okay.
So now instead of those three people, now this time in just a span of 10, 12 days, we had more than, overall we had more than 30 people,
Oh, wow.
because some programs which was just like for a day, we
Mm.
had some of these programs we had even 15 people joining,
All right.
and some programs we had 5, some programs we had 7, some programs we had 3. So like this overall we had about 10, 12 programs, and like this it kind of balanced out. So
Yes.
hall usage also, instead of 21 days it came down to 10, 12 days.
Yeah.
Number of people increased, and still the experience, there were few who attended everything, so they had like kind of similar experience like how they had for 21 days. So all these things were met. So
Mm.
that was the beginning of
Yogi Ray.
yeah, that was the beginning of our endeavor to continue offering more programs. So then that model worked, and then I after that I kind of replicated that model in various places in Bangalore. So
Okay.
I did programs like this, like these yoga fests. I did it in various parts of Bangalore, in
Mm.
North Bangalore, South Bangalore, East, etc. And then
Okay.
I used to again rotate with the same places. So every 3 4 months, I used to come back to that place. So that was the model I started. So this is how we started moving. So I when I look back and I see, this is all about making. It's not about not making mistakes, or it's not about hitting the ground up running right from beginning. It's just that seeing where you're going, how things are progressing, and if things are not going the way you want to try and make course corrections as early as possible,
Yes.
and then again give yourself a chance and see how it works. So it's like a constant experimental process. And this is something which I've kept even till now, even almost more than 4.5 years now after being
Yes.
we started this. Even now, if you have been following our work, you will see that every now and then I come up with new programs actually.
Yes.
So, because what happens is, for me, it's not like this that, oh, okay, something is working and so that's it. Now I'm done. I'll just be doing that itself and I'm not doing anything else. For me,
Yes.
the endeavor has always been that see what is most needed for people and try to see if you can come up with something new which can meet that requirement. It could be something,
Yes.
which I just have to look into myself and see what is it that I'm really longing for,
Yeah.
and what is it that will make my life much more easier. What is it that will
Yes.
help me more in my spiritual journey. So when I just look at this and I also hear people what they are actually longing for and what they are looking for, and based on that I see, okay, can I come up with something new.
Mm.
And I always, if you see our programs, if you go to our website and see our programs, you will see our programs are quite unique.
Yes.
Though we may be doing the same things, but just that element of customization, that element of innovation is something which you will find, because we're always trying to do this right from the day one when we started. It has always been like this, to see what we are doing, to learn from feedback about that program, how it happened, to ask people what was their experience and if something can be improved, and if it can be improved, let's improve that next time. So
Yes.
like this, constantly we have been innovating, and that led to formation of more programs. So we started with just this offline program, which was just day programs, and then finally now we have a gamut of programs. We have so many. Even
Right.
in offline, we have so much variety. We have day programs, we have residential programs, we have online programs. So this innovation has been the key in terms of our DNA. We always have tried to keep up the innovation part and learning from whatever we have done. So initially it was paid marketing, and then we saw that paid marketing is not working that great for us.
Yeah.
So we started seeing how to grow organically.
Correct.
So currently, I would say from the last few years, I've hardly done any paid marketing. It's mainly been organic actually. Okay.
Correct.
Just that because we realized that from the beginning that we need to work towards building our organic strength, our
Yes.
organic network. So we just focused on that because of the initial lessons we learned. We saw that paid marketing was putting too much pressure on finances,
Mm.
and there's always that thing hanging. Oh, what is the investment and what is the return on investment you will get? So I wanted to minimize that. Plus, you're always dependent on someone, either Facebook or whatever else. It's not that you can do without it. You still use it for building awareness, etc. But as much as
Yes.
possible, to a certain extent, you can always increase your organic reach rather than it was like initial first few programs we were like, if we don't do any marketing we won't even get few people.
Ah, yeah.
So we thought that okay, we'll put some money in the Facebook ads or whatever ads, and at least because of
Right.
that, two three people come, the program will happen. Otherwise, that also won't happen.
Ah,
So imagine being in this situation where every program only if you put something, and you will get few
mm.
people, and if it happens, then the program happens. If you are in such a situation, then
Yes.
it's not a very good situation to be in. So
Right.
I felt that initially, after doing all these experiments, I felt that we should try to reach a situation where when we announce a program, we need not think about whether people will come or not, whether it will happen or not,
Correct.
whether, how much we need to put into ads or this or that. So we thought that we should try to take steps towards that. So it's been a constant endeavor to enhance our program offerings and offer the best experience, so that right now I would say that a majority of our people who are coming for our programs are mostly through word of mouth.
Ah, yeah.
So now when we do a program, we don't worry about whether people will come or not, or
Mm.
we know that okay, at least if we announce a program, and at least the minimum number which we are looking for will somehow happen.
Yes.
Most of the program, if it's not a new program, if it's a tried and tested program, then it would, even if it's a new program, we would still get minimum number without breaking our head to from where we are going to get people and other stuff.
Right.
So that's how it's been. So it's not been something which is a cakewalk,
Yeah.
but it's always something which we are constantly learning and optimizing,
Yes.
and that's continuing even now.
Yes, absolutely. I think when someone is on the entrepreneurial journey, I think every day is a learning. I think, I mean, as you mentioned clearly, that, okay, once I know how to do this, and I cannot just sit quiet, because you have to like constantly keep on learning. And of course, you also mentioned that, you have to look into what is that the people want, because you always need to understand what are the customers wanting or the clients wanting, so that you can provide something which is beneficial to them. So rightly said. I mean, so resonate with what you said. Probing just a bit further.
And also,
uh,
one more thing is,
yes.
I've always kept this as a constant that irrespective of what you're doing outside, the most important thing is to work
Yes.
on yourself.
Yes.
So the moment you keep that as a priority, that you want to enhance yourself, then naturally whatever you're offering also gets enhanced. So if this is something which a lot of people on the entrepreneurial journey, they realize
Yes.
that it's like something which is a discovery of the self. So you kind of use this as a medium to explore more about yourself. And the more you fine tune yourself, the more you become a better version of yourself. You will see whatever you're offering, that suddenly gets enhanced. Suddenly you get more better ideas, you get more creative, you get so many things start working once you keep this as a priority. But suppose you keep your growth as something which is incidental, or which can happen or which cannot happen, and you're just focusing on the revenue or whatever else, then after some time you will see that all your offerings slowly, the quality of what you're offering can reduce. And then you may be stuck
Yes.
thinking that okay, anyway I was stuck in my job as well, and now same kind of
Yeah.
situation is happening with this. So then there's not much difference whether you're doing a job or whether you're running an entrepreneurial venture or whatever else. So it should be a constant process where you are working to enhance yourself. Then it turns out to be like a process of constant evaluation and growth, and you're just using this like a spiritual process for yourself, trying to see how you can enhance yourself. And as you're enhancing yourself, your offering also gets enhanced, your venture also gets enhanced.
Yes, yes, superbly said. And I can relate to it because I think podcast is one means which is actually, helping me to put out things which probably is of some value to others. So, yeah, so totally, understand what you're trying to say. Just probing a bit further, I know you did speak about Yogi Rave from your perspective as a business perspective, but I want to understand, and of course, I'm sure the listeners out here would also be wanting to know, could teaching yoga be lucrative? What is your perspective on imparting yoga to thousands of people and yet trying to earn a means of living with yoga sessions? So, I mean, can this be a career choice that one can take? What do you think? What is your perspective on this?
See, the thing is, for most people, when they make a career choice, it's something which they may be weighing many concerns,
Mm-hmm.
especially in India. I would say, for most of them, the topmost factor while choosing a career could be, what is the take home, or what
Yeah,
is it that I can make from this.
correct.
So, so basically, if you are looking at that, then this may not kind of fit the bill initially, or it may not be a very natural choice if that is your aim,
Mm,
because you can definitely do much better if you if you go the traditional route, or whatever else, or the chances may be much higher,
mm-hmm.
if you just go stick to the traditional disciplines of whether it's engineering or MBA, or medicine or law or whatever else. So if that is the criteria which you're looking for in terms of a career,
Mm-hmm.
then how much can I make? Can I make uh, you know as much as possible, or whatever else?
Right.
Then that may not be a good criteria for you to look at something like this, because when it comes to yoga, it's a very subjective discipline,
Mm,
and this cannot go with when you're teaching yoga. The first thing which you will look at is you will just see how much of how much of that is reflecting in you, right? So when people are coming to you, you may think that they are coming because of the poster or the website or this or that, so they may come because of that initially.
yes.
But if they are if if this is something which is bringing them again and again, it's
Mm,
not just that actually. So they're just trying to see how much they connect with you, how much you are actually they can see that seeking.
mm,
You don't have to speak many words for that. If you just come across someone, even if as much as you listen to them for a few minutes, you can really make out that, is this something which they really care for? Is this something which they are willing to stake their life for? Or is this something which is something which they are trying to live, and it's not something which they're just talking.
mm,
So what happens is, you can do something like, let's say if you want to do a job,
yeah.
even if it doesn't mean the world to you, you can still do it, and you can still be very successful.
Mm,
You can still rise in terms of the corporate ladder. Though if you want to really do very well, then again you need to have in passion, or you need to have that zeal, or at least that commitment towards that, or devotion towards that. See, anybody who wants to do well, unless they're devoted to whatever they're doing, it doesn't happen,
correct.
but that's something which I'm talking about, where you really become successful in that particular field. But otherwise, just survival you can always do, with just if you want to survive, there are many ways to do that. So when it comes to being doing something like this, when it comes to yoga, it's this is something, if you're just looking to use this as a means of earning, it'll be something which may not be very it's something which you will feel something is missing, because this cannot be just for that criteria. It's not like a job where because here, if I have to speak about this, the kind of effort or investment which is required in terms of time, I'm definitely working much more than I was working in a job actually. So when at least I
Yes.
was in a job, it was just fixed hours, and I was like, free most of the time. And now I would say, last 4 years, there's not even been a single day when, I have managed to finish whatever I have planned actually. I mean, whatever I
Yes.
have, in my list, there's always, every day I have more things to do than what I can manage to do. And constantly, the only thing which I'm running out of is time, because there's so much to do. If I just have enough time, there's so much to do, and I don't really have enough time. So I have to constantly keep cutting down on things. I have to constantly see what can I manage, what I cannot manage. So in terms of effort, there's so much more to do. So if you have to do something like this and still not get stressed about it, this is something which you should be deeply concerned about. This is something which you should deeply care for. Only then you can step into this, right? So it is not the other way around where you think that you will get something out of it and then you step into it, and then so it's not that process. So generally what happens is, how most people choose a career is because it's like having, doing, and then finally being. For
Ah,
example, you want to have this much amount of wealth, or you want to have these kind of comforts,
right.
or you want to have fame, or you want to have XYZ, whatever it is, those criteria. So you want to have something. So
Right.
you think, how can I have it? If I want to have that, I should do this.
Yeah.
Maybe you want to do engineering, or you want to do medicine, or you want to do law, or you want to do civil services, or
Mm.
whatever else, or you want to do business because you want to have that.
Yes.
And when you do it, finally you become that. So you
Mm.
become a lawyer, or you become a doctor, or you become a engineer, or you become a IAS officer, or whatever else.
Right.
So this is the process, right? So you always start with what you want to have, and then you think, how can I have that? I have to do this,
Do it.
and then finally, when you do that, you become that. So this whole process has to reverse.
Mm.
So when we look at yoga, we always say that you should start with being,
Mm.
then doing, and then finally having is a consequence.
Right.
So basically, first you fix how do you want to be.
Yes.
Okay, I want to be joyful, I want to be peaceful, I want to do, I want to see how I can be balanced. Now
Yes.
when you work on that, if that becomes your priority, then you look at doing.
Right.
Now when it comes to doing, you always see what is something that you care for.
Yeah.
What is that something which resonates with you and which you feel is really needed to be done in the world?
Yes.
What is that thing which you feel that is really missing, and if you get involved in this, or if you contribute, it will make a big difference in the world?
Correct.
What is that something which resonates with you, or which you feel is really needed in this world? It's not just your fancy idea that you want to do something. It's also what is really what the world is needing, or what the world is actually longing for.
Mm.
So it's according to the situation what is needed. So then you once you realize that this is what you want to do because this is what is needed, then finally, because you're doing that and you are in a certain way, and you are fulfilling a need or a demand,
Yes.
so you finally get to have something. It
Correct.
could be, and that could depend on social conditions and situations. So you may get to have fame, you may get to have a lot of money, you may get to have a bungalow, or you may get to have car, or whatever else.
Yeah.
So that's a consequence of how people are benefiting from what you're offering,
Correct.
and what is the social situation, and how is the economic situation, etc. So that's something which happens. Now the advantage of this is that, you know your inner situation is not hijacked by anything else, because you already started by fixing that as a priority.
Correct.
Now whether you get to do this, or now tomorrow you may have to do something else because the situation is different. Let's say right now this pandemic happened, and so happened that so many people,
Yeah.
they were not able to do what they were doing
Yeah.
all the time. And
Correct.
they just had to figure out some other alternative because it was not possible. Like,
Yes.
let's say all the travel companies went bust because there was no travel. People couldn't step out of their homes. Now,
Right.
if you think, no, I have to do only this,
Mm.
then you're stuck, right?
Yes.
So basically, doing and finally getting to have is something it can change. It can always change based on what's needed, what's the situation. But how you are within yourself, that's something which should not be subject to that.
Right.
So this is the advantage of looking at it in this particular way. To choose something, when you choose a path or when you choose a career, it's if you choose in this particular way, then this is the advantage that
Yes.
whatever you do, it's something which will always you'll feel like you're on the right path, or you'll feel that inner fulfillment, or you'll never feel that the career or the path which you have chosen is kind of hijacking how you are within yourself. Because it doesn't matter what career you have chosen, at the end of the day, a career is just a part of your life, isn't it? It's just something which you're doing for your own well-being. It
Mm.
is not the be all of everything.
Yeah.
So if that is not helping in your well-being, then it doesn't matter what career you choose. It will make no difference. Actually, it's just a matter of time when you will start getting feeling the same kind of thoughts which you had earlier with your previous job. You may shift into something else, and again, it's just a matter of time when those same cycles again happen. So it's very very important that when we choose, especially when we have youngsters and we choose careers, or when we choose a path, we always keep this in mind, because this is one of the reasons why people have these midlife crises, or they have all these indecision, etc. Because if you constantly keep thinking, what should I do to have this, there are thousands of ways, isn't it? Let's say if you want an X amount of money or whatever, there are thousands of ways to do it. You can become a businessman, you can become an engineer, you can become a doctor, you can become a pilot, you can become a lawyer. Now you'll be constantly thinking, oh, what should I do? Which is better? This is better, or this is better, or this pays well, or this pays well, or this pays well. And you'll be kind of confused, right? Because you're constantly thinking which is good, which is good, which is good. So instead of
Yes.
that, if you just look at the reverse process and see, okay, this is how I want to be. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. How I want to be is this. So in yoga, they say, this is a very apt quote in yoga. It says, it was said by Krishna that first establish yourself in yoga and then act. So it means that once this happens, that you are established within yourself, how you want to be within yourself, that is established. Let's say you want to be joyful, peaceful, balanced, or whatever. Now,
Yes.
whatever activity you do, you take up whatever activity which you do, it's like an expression of your nature.
Inner
It's
side.
yes, it's an
Yes.
expression of that. And everything can become a way, or a sadhana, or it's like it can become like a tool for your expansion, for your growth, because now you're established within yourself, and now you're not looking to derive something from that particular act. It's
Mm.
not like that. If this I become a teacher because I want to get something out of it, or I
Right.
become an engineer because I want to get something out of it.
Right.
What I want to get is within myself, and that is anyway there. And now I'm just doing this because right now this is what is needed and which I feel I care for. So if this separation, or if this distinction is not there, and if you choose, then doesn't matter what choice you make. Right now you may think that software is lucrative. Tomorrow you may think that analytics is lucrative. Day after you may think artificial intelligence is lucrative. Maybe
Mm.
a time comes when you feel yoga is lucrative, but it won't make much difference in how you feel.
Yes.
So that's what I'm trying to say. Because what is lucrative, it can change based on market situations, right?
True.
Because right now there's a lot of demand for this, for engineers. So you may think this is lucrative,
Yeah.
but it doesn't matter which era you are in or which time you are in. If decisions are made based on that, it won't work for you internally.
Yes.
So I learned this the hard way because I've been in various fields and careers, I would say. started off with software, and then
Right.
I ventured into knows something. It was like there's no career at all, It's like I just volunteer and trying to do whatever is needed there. I
Right.
did, kitchen work or cleaning or database entry or IT or marketing or on the ground support, coordination, music, accounts. I
Right.
can tell you hundreds of things. I just did whatever I was thrown into, and
Right.
that's where I learned that how I do something is more important than what I do.
Yes.
So once that was there, then it's like when, as I said, when I came back to Bangalore, it happened that I was thinking, what should I do so that I can spend my time and my life doing something which I really feel is important. Because I felt that this is most important, that people know how to live well.
Oh, yes.
Because if they get everything else and if they don't know how to live well, it's of no use.
Yeah.
So I thought I should invest my time in that because I feel this is the most important thing which I learned. So I wanted to invest my time and energies. I could have invested my time and energies in a job. I could invest in my time and energies in a business.
Mm.
If I was just looking to make money, I could have invested my time in any of these things and they might have worked out much better.
Right.
But
Right.
I was thinking that I want to invest my time and energies on something which I feel is really needed for the world and which I feel is most important.
Yes.
So that's when I thought, what should I do? And then I felt that, I should do the training and then take this up.
Right.
So now when I come from this particular perspective, and I'm just seeing how I should offer myself and make this happen,
Right.
then it's a very different thing. Now, whether it works financially or not, or even however it works, but the way how I would be
Mm.
very different, because
Yes.
now the way I'm approaching it, the way I've looking at it, the way I've entered into this, or the way why I've pursued this, is coming from a very different thought process and from a process where it's more internally driven. So
Yes.
now I didn't. So when I started, I never thought about whether I will even be able to make my ends meet. I always thought that okay, as long as I'm not dependent on somebody else, if
Right.
I can be independent and make it happen,
Mm-hmm.
that I don't need to be dependent on anyone. At least for myself, what I need to survive, I can manage. Then at least that's a good start,
Yeah.
because I didn't want to be dependent. At least whatever I need for myself, that much I should be able to figure out.
Right.
And that within a few months itself, I was able to figure out, how to manage that. That wasn't difficult for me because, as I said, it was always a question of learning from whatever I'm doing and seeing, okay, if this didn't work, why it didn't work, how I can make it work.
Correct.
So I was constantly looking at this, and then within a few months, I was able to make it work, where the net flow was positive for me, and then it was started growing in that direction. And it was just a matter of time for me before I could make it work and make it financially viable as well for me. So much so that I didn't have to think, oh, should I do this or should I not do this? Will I really be able to sustain from this or not? So now after that, then it's a question of numbers. What is enough for you and what is enough for someone else. For
Correct.
someone, this may be good. Someone, this may be less. But those things are secondary. It always depends on how capable you are. For example, you may have done engineering from a top college, but let's say you start your own company. Now,
Mm-hmm.
how many of these companies, may become a Google or a Microsoft? They may,
Right.
it's not just about your degree. It's not just about your, you know, your certificate or whatever else. Actually, that doesn't have any it doesn't make any difference actually. What really makes a difference is how capable you are, how enthusiastic you are, how committed you are to whatever you're doing, and based on that, and also what
Right.
problem are you trying to solve. So
Yes.
based on that, you may find success in the world, right? So it's always depends on one's capability. So what they make out of it, it always depends on someone's capability, and nobody can fix it and say, "Oh, okay, now if you have done engineering, you will set up a Google or you will set up a Microsoft, right?" If you
Correct.
look at a job, you can always predict and say, "Yeah, okay, on an average scale, you may get this much."
Yeah.
because you have graduated from, let's say, IIT, or you have graduated from NIT or whatever. So this is the average what people make. So you may also get that much. So that you can predict for something which is like that. But suppose you want to set up something on your own,
Right.
you can never predict that, right? Nobody can say that, okay, if you set up a company today, this is what you're going to make.
Yes.
Because when you're setting something on your own, there is sky is the limit, and you can zero is the lower limit. You can
Yes.
not even zero, you can even go minus. Actually, people go bankrupt.
Yeah.
They
True.
are like, you have these bankruptcy production laws, right? Because a lot of companies go in the negative. They
Yes.
they have
Yes.
borrowed so much that they can't even return that. So both
Yeah.
these things are possible when you are in entrepreneurial journey, because there
True.
is no upper limit, there is no bottom limit. So it's all up to you what you make out of it. So nobody can predict and say, oh, okay, this person did this, so you also can do this, or this is something. Because it all depends on the individual,
Correct.
how the person is driven, what is his capability, and also where he is placed, and what is the situation outside. And for example, right now there's a demand for yoga, so you may do well.
Yes.
But let's say a few years earlier, there were not many takers for yoga. So maybe if you had set up an enterprise, it wouldn't have done so well because there were not so many takers,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? Or for example, in the West right now, it's become very commercialized. So a
Correct.
lot of people are thinking of yoga as a career
Huh.
because they want to make this happen,
Yes.
as a way of earning. But let's say if that changes, then it may not happen. So it also depends on the outside situations, what's needed. So all these factors are there. So it can. So if I have to answer your question, yes, it can be. It can be financially very viable as well, because so
Right.
many factors are involved. But that's not the criteria for you to choose that as a career, because it's not one of those fields where you can look at that and then decide that I want to venture. Because you
True.
may be disappointed then. But
Yes.
if you're there for the right reasons, and then you work towards it, and then if you are in situations where whatever you're doing is really what is needed, then there is no limit. You can always see what is how to grow, and in whichever way possible, you can always grow. So that's how I feel it is. So
Okay.
it is definitely possible for someone to make it work,
Mhm.
but only if they are looking at it from the right perspective, and not just because oh, someone did this, so that's why I'm also doing this, I also entered this. But it's like, say, it's like trying to follow in someone's footsteps without
Correct.
you having that same aspiration, or going through the same process. So that won't work when it's, especially when when it comes to doing something like this.
Yes.
You always have to make your own journey and see what are the reasons which you are looking for, what is your requirement, what is it that you are longing for. And
Right.
most important thing is not about making a career, it's about making your life
True.
worthwhile, right?
True.
So whatever that is, this is just a small part of it. It is a big part right now because you're spending more than half of your life doing that. So
Yes.
that's why it's important. But otherwise, it's something which is you're taken up for your own well-being itself. So so
Yes.
that's something, that is the thing which needs to be kept in mind. So whatever works for your well-being, it's good.
Right.
Otherwise, there's no currency which will help.
Absolutely. Well, thank you. I mean, that was such some valuable insights, which I think all of us should, look into. And I really, really loved the concept. I mean, of course, Sadhguru has also mentioned it. I think, the bottom line being, doing, and then having. I think that is something which all of us need to, time and again look into, because even people who are into yoga and who are on the spiritual path, we might forget now and then, but then it's always a reminder. Yes, and of course for people who are wanting to get into yoga or who are wanting to become yoga teachers, I think this is something that they really need to like look into themselves first and figure out why is it that they want to take up this as a career choice. I think, yeah, it was so beautifully put by you in all aspects. So thank you for those pointers. Um, Well, moving on, I want to ask you, why is it that the kind of food that we intake is equally important to, probably whatever routines that we have, say like a yoga routine or any well-being routine or workout routine. So could you tell us also about your program, Ahar? Yes, over to you.
Okay. So, see, when you're looking to grow within yourself, and when you're trying to see how you can use everything as an opportunity for your growth, then
Yes.
it's like you're trying to make yourself a high performance engine. And you're trying to optimize and make sure. For example, you'll see if you have a bike rider,
Mm-hmm.
the difference between an ordinary person who's riding a bike and a bike rider is that the bike rider is constantly trying to get maximum throughput,
Yeah.
isn't it? They are trying to see tweak even in the minutest possible way. Okay, what should be the fuel? How much should be the tuning or this or that? They are just trying to optimize every little thing in the bike so
Right.
that it can run at its best. But
Mm-hmm.
a person who's just riding a bike, they may not care so much about the mileage or the
Yeah.
cc or whatever else, the throughput. They're just like, okay, I have to go from this place to this place.
Right.
As long as I'm able to do it in a decent mileage, I'm good. But a bike rider is a person who's racing.
Mm-hmm.
He's trying to get maximum throughput and he's looking at every possible parameter, every possible parameter.
Right.
So if you have been following racing or F1 or something like that, Formula One, etc., you will see that how those engineers are trying to fine tune each and every aspect of the car,
Yes.
every aspect, every minute detail. So same thing with our body also.
Mm-hmm.
So if you are trying to become a yogi, where you're trying to look at how you can be the best version of yourself, how you can be in yoga,
Right.
then every aspect of your body, mind, every aspect of your life is important.
Mm.
You have to pay attention to what you're eating, you have to pay attention to how you're breathing, you have to pay attention to how you're sitting,
Yes.
standing, speaking. Every aspect is important, not just food.
Right.
But suppose you just want to survive,
Mm-hmm.
then you can eat whatever you want, you can sleep how much ever you want, you can talk how much ever you want. It doesn't make a big difference, because anyway you just want to survive, you want to just get through the day.
Right.
So, assuming that people, when they are coming for our programs and they're aspiring to become yogis, or they're aspiring to at least have an element of a yogi in their life, that is why we are offering programs where we look at food in depth. So, this will be of importance to only those people who are really looking at optimizing every aspect of their life.
Right.
Right? So if you're just looking for survival, then all these things are not so important. You need not pay so much attention. You can eat whatever you lay your hands upon.
Yes.
That's how it is. But if you look at sports people, for example, if you check some of these very popular cricketers or other sports people, you will see that it's not just about them playing their sport. They pay so much
Right.
attention to their fitness, to their diet, to their yoga or meditation or whatever else, their whole daily routine. They pay equal
Yes.
importance to that, isn't it? Haven't you noticed that? You may have come
True.
across many articles where they say, what is this cricketer's diet, and if the
Yeah.
cricketer says, I'm eating only this, I've become a vegan, then everybody wants to do that, because
True.
that is, and they spend so much amount of time in the gym or working out or doing the drills and so many things, and that translates into just that half an hour or 2 hours of action on the field, but there's so much
Right.
background work happening. So same thing, so just putting it in the same perspective. So if you're looking to become a if you're aspiring to become a yogi, then obviously now you're putting so much of fuel into your system as food,
Yes.
right? So if you have to optimize it, then you have to look at what you're eating, how you're eating, when you're eating.
Mm-hmm.
Everything has to be looked into detail.
Yes.
So that's why we started offering this program called as Ahar.
Uh-huh.
We look at diet in terms of what is really suitable for a system, for someone who's longing to grow on the path of yoga, for
Okay.
someone who's looking to have at least an element of being a yoga as part of their life.
Right.
So now we've seen that there's so much interest and people want to become like this. So that's
Yes.
why there's so many people who are signing up and they're coming up and they want to learn about this. So though we are telling them so many things which may sound difficult for a person who's not at all interested in all these things.
Mm-hmm.
We
Mm-hmm.
ask them not to eat this. This is how you should eat. You should avoid onion. You should avoid garlic.
Right.
So actually, now you may be thinking, oh, why should I just avoid all these things? I can just eat whatever I want.
Right.
So it's up to you. It's just that when you're looking to grow in a certain path in a
Mm-hmm.
certain way, then everything becomes important.
Yeah.
Not just about food, but everything, every aspect of your life becomes important. So we do this program called as Ahar, where we just focus on the food aspect.
Okay.
We do also programs where we focus on all the aspects. For example, we do a program called as Dvijas,
Yeah.
which is a program which is for meant for transforming a person completely.
Okay.
And in that, we look at every aspect which can influence a person, whether it's food or how they sit, how they speak, how they stand, how they breathe,
Mm-hmm.
what kind of practices they do, how is their thought process, their attitudes, everything makes a huge difference. How they take a bath, and what they wear, when they sleep, when they get up. Every aspect of their life we look at in detail, because if
Yes.
you're looking to grow, if you're looking to transform, then everything makes a difference.
Wow.
So that's how our programs are designed. So all our programs are designed in such a way that it's just helping people, so that at least an element of being a yogi becomes a part of their life. Now, how far they want to go, depending on that, they can choose what kind of program they want to get into. If they just want to work on the diet aspect, if they want to learn how to eat healthy, to eat right, and to cook healthy and right as well. If they want to
Yes.
incorporate healthy recipes in their life and make cooking and eating a joyful process, a conscious process, which can assist them in their spiritual journey,
Right.
then they usually come for the Ahar program. They start off with that.
Okay.
There are some people who are wanting to take care of every aspect of their life and they're really interested in seeing how they can grow in all these aspects. So then
Yes.
usually they come for this Dujas program where we look into all these aspects in detail. And there's then there's a we have a program where we just look into like nature, yoga,
Yes.
and food, and just having a sense of exuberance and a sense of being a sport and play.
Right.
So we have programs like Srishti, which is like an introduction where
Yes.
people can have all these elements, like they have some grasp about yoga, about food, and about being in touch with nature and just being joyful and having a sense of play in whatever work they are doing.
Right.
So then we have programs like this. So based on what people are looking for,
Mm-hmm.
we have different kinds of programs which are designed for them. And food being something which most people, which everybody anyway having food, right? Whether they do yoga or not, at least food they cannot live without. That's why
Yes.
there's a lot of interest for food, because anyway they're eating, if they only change the way they're eating and if they learn to eat right, then
Wow.
that will be the starting point for them to take charge of their well-being. So we
Right.
see a lot of people who start with food and they come for these food programs, and then they get inspired to kind of get deeper into yoga and try to explore more aspects. So
Okay.
that's been working very well for people.
Mm-hmm.
And, so it's journey starts with food, and
Yes.
it can take you places actually.
Wonderful. Well, before I do have a question on Srishti, but before that, just want to understand. So, Ahar session is for 2 to 3 days, if I'm not wrong. It's an online session,
Yeah,
correct?
yeah. So basically, since almost a year and a half,
Yes.
we launched the online version of the art program. Initially, we were just doing it in person programs,
Right.
like the offline programs in Bangalore. So then that used to be for a few hours a day,
Mm-hmm.
and we started with that. And then after that, we moved on to an online version because we could reach people across the world. So
Yes.
moved on to an online platform. So currently, we have been just offering the online sessions. Once
Okay.
things normalize, we may start the offline sessions as well. But currently, we are doing the online program, and we are doing it in a 3 day format, where
Okay.
for about 2.5 hours per day. So you have to join for 3 days, and
Right.
anyone across the world can join, and it's a live program. So I do the sessions live, and we discuss so many aspects about food and cooking, and they
Right.
also get to try out. They get a handbook where we provide them over 250 recipes they can try out. Their questions are answered, and they get the necessary motivation and inspiration to implement these things, because information is there very easily available. See, there's no
Yes.
dearth of information. Actually, we have made all the information available for free on our YouTube channel.
Okay.
So if they just visit our YouTube channel, the Yogi Ray YouTube channel,
Right.
you'll find a playlist called as Agni series.
Okay.
And in that, we have uploaded almost all the information related to yogic diet for free.
Wow.
So if someone just wants to start, they can just see that playlist, go through all those videos. There are more than 35 videos uploaded. And if they can
Wow.
implement that, that's more than enough actually. They don't even need to come for the program. Why we are doing programs is because we are using programs as a medium to inspire people to implement.
Right.
Because see, in this information age, there's no dearth of information.
Mm-hmm.
Information is very very easily available. The only issue is that people are not having enough inspiration or having enough motivation to make this a reality in their life. Okay,
Yes.
the best things may be there outside, but if you're not able to make it a part of your life, it's of no use. Isn't it? So
Mm-hmm.
if you see, there are thousands of videos which, if you even if you listen to one video of Sadhguru and you really implement it, your life can transform. But if you're
Yes.
just looking at all the information but not implementing anything, you may even watch 1,000 videos but nothing may change. So that's the reason why we're doing programs, so that at least we can, through a structured process,
Yes.
and through talks and interactions, and that these aspects, we can at least try and inspire people to make this a part of their life, and we try to solve their challenges, challenges, so that it becomes easy for them to make it a part of their life. So this is where programs help. So we see that a lot of people have, uh, these little roadblocks which may
Mm-hmm.
be stopping them from implementing something.
Right.
And if those can be solved, if they can be inspired to break through that, and if they can be inspired to kind of work towards it, to strive to make it a part of their life, then it it becomes a reality for them. So that's why we
Yes.
are doing programs. So if just someone wants to start and get a idea, a hang about what is this about, they can just go through the Agni series videos. If
Right.
they just search on YouTube for Agni series Yogi Re, they'll come across the playlist. They can go through that, and if they really feel inspired and they want to implement it and they need help, they can always come for a program, whichever
Yes.
program we do. We have a variety of programs where we can support people in implementation and inspiration, so
Right.
then they can take the next step and they can come for that.
Wow.
Mhm.
Beautiful. Well, thank you for that. And of course, for offering a variety of, workshops and sessions. And of course, the free video content on YouTube as well. Well, my next question is on Srishti, which you did speak about a while ago. So my question here is, do you think it is important for children to be taught yoga from an early age? Uh, and why do you think so? And could you, of course, tell us about the program Srishti, and if you could give us a glimpse about it? Yes.
See, unfortunately, I wasn't exposed to yoga as a kid, and
Me too.
yeah, so I feel that I missed out on a lot, because when I was exposed to yoga in 2008, I kind of realized that only if I had learned this earlier, if only I really understood what yoga could do,
Mm-hmm.
maybe I wouldn't have made many decisions the way I have, way it turned out to be, you know. So I felt that it is very, very important because the most important aspect is how one can take care of their own well-being, isn't it?
Right.
How one can take care of their body, their mind, their emotions, their energies, and use it in the best possible way.
Mm-hmm.
If this grounding comes to you early on in your life,
Right.
won't it be helpful for everything that you do?
Yes.
So, if that is the question, if that is the way you approach it, that I want to see that how I can live my life in the best possible way, then yoga should come very early into your life, not later on. When you're done with your life and you feel that, okay, people think, oh, now I have earned enough, I have, now I should think about yoga.
Right.
Then your body may not be supporting.
True.
You may have already, many chronic ailments lined up and maybe having hospital bills running already.
Yes.
Then after that, even if you want to do yoga, you may not have the body to do the yoga, you know. So
True.
yoga should happen when you're alive, when you're young, when you're exuberant, and when you have the energy and when you have the body and necessary support to to make it happen for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why you should start early. So if there are parents, you know,
Yep.
they should definitely see how they can expose their children to yoga early on in their life.
Right.
At least from the age of 7, they should be exposed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because this is about enhancing your own self.
Yes.
So it's a science to enhance one's own well-being, to see how to optimize it, to see how we can take it to its peak. So if you just look at it in that way, then it should come very early on in your life,
Mm-hmm.
not when you're done with life. So we are trying to see how we can, inspire children as early on. So we do a lot of children's programs.
Mm-hmm.
And personally, for me, why I connect with this a lot is because uh, in my journey, for me, the turning point
Mm-hmm.
when I really changed within myself was, you know, uh, was when I was offering one of these children's programs.
Okay.
Because what happened was, you know, when I was offering these children's programs, and I was teaching programs to adults as well, and there was a huge difference when I was teaching children.
Okay.
Because what I saw is that I was very much in control of the situation when I was doing an adults program.
Mm.
And suddenly, when I was doing programs with children, it felt like as if, you know, I've totally lost control because they are just in their own world and irrespective of whatever you are,
Right.
they really don't care a hoot and they are just doing their own thing. And suddenly, you feeling like as if, you know, things are not happening the way you want it to happen and things are going out of your control.
Right.
And then you frantically try to stop them or try to police them and try to say, okay, no, you do this, you stop talking, you stop shouting, you stop doing this, you stop doing that,
Yes.
and you're frantically trying to see how to bring the situation under your control. And then that's where you realize that you have so much evolution to happen within yourself.
Yeah.
There's so much to grow within yourself because you're losing your cool and you're just trying to make things happen frantically, and you're and how balanced you are is showing there clearly. So that's what I was my experience as I started teaching children.
Mm-hmm.
Then I realized after some time that initially I thought that it's them who need to change. I need to change them, you know, I need to police them, I need to make them disciplined or whatever. Then finally I realized when it was not working that it is not them, it is about me who needs to change. Because the way I was responding to them was very different. I was trying to react to everything and just trying to see how I can control the situation. So when I just realized that, then I started, I stopped judging, and I just started looking at myself and seeing that how I can be balanced, how I can respond to the situation rather than reacting to the situation.
Yes.
So when that happened, suddenly it made me realize that I need to work on myself, and there's
Mm-hmm.
nothing wrong with them.
Right.
And that thing was like the turning point for me. That
Mm-hmm.
was when I really changed. And after that, suddenly being with them was a very different experience.
Right.
Then they were doing the same old things, but I was not getting perturbed. I was not getting off balance. I was just happily trying to see what I could do and laughing and still trying to make it happen. And suddenly, then I saw that everything was so much under my control without me
Right.
desperately trying to control things. It felt like as if things were still in control, though it was going here and there, but it felt like still you are, you are in charge. It's still not
Yes.
going out of your hands. So
Yes.
after that, I started enjoying doing more children's programs because I was able to work on this aspect. After that, it was like so much fun for me, because suddenly, which was a something which was a torture for me, now it turned out to be a process where it was so much fun because I just changed the whole perspective.
Right.
I just thought that no, I'm not labeling anyone as, oh, this is how they are and this is how this, I wish they could change or this or that. I was just thinking, it doesn't matter who comes. I'm not looking at transforming them. I'm just looking at offering myself in the best possible way.
Yes.
So suddenly everything about the way I was offering changed and it became such a joyful process. So since then, I've been very fond of children's programs. Uh,
Okay.
I've come up with many of these programs for children. We started with day programs, then we started residential programs where they stay with us for 3 to 5 days.
Mm-hmm.
So then when we started residential program, that's how we came up with Srishti.
Okay. Okay.
So I was looking for a name for this residential program
Yeah.
because the concept of the program was we'll take them out in nature. We'll go to a natural place. We'll stay in a natural place
Right.
where they understand the importance of being with nature, where we can learn yoga together, where we can eat healthy food. So we
Yes.
learn how we should eat according to yoga. So we learn about food, and we also have a lot of fun by playing games and just being with each other. So these were the aspects which we wanted to integrate into the program
Yes.
about nature, about yoga, about food, and about play.
Okay.
So then I was thinking of a name, and then I thought about Srishti because Srishti is like just about the about nature or about the universe or about creation.
Right.
And I felt that this name could kind of fit the bill because what we were trying to do because we were looking at every aspect of nature or creation,
Right.
not just about yoga, not just about food or not just about this. We're just looking at everything else in a holistic way, whether it's the animals or insects or plants or trees around us or life around us. We were trying to see how we could be in sync or be in harmony with everything.
Right.
So that's why we choose places like this, which are natural, where we can be in touch with nature,
Mm-hmm.
where we understand that they are not the only life form on this planet, and there is so much importance, which other life forms have, and they also play an equally important role in making this creation sustainable
Yes.
to sustain this universe. So this was the idea of doing the program. So we named it Srishti, and it turned out to be very popular because they really liked this concept, and
Yeah.
we had so many kids coming. And since then, it's been almost 3 years since we've been doing this program.
Wow.
We started doing it in the outskirts of Bangalore. We chose farms or places which where they could accommodate us and where they could prepare food according to what we wanted,
Right.
and where there was enough space to go for treks or walks or just play games and just live a yogic lifestyle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it was that's how we started, and after that we have done more than 15, 16 camps like this. We did in Bandipur also, and there we also went for safaris, etc. So like this we have done in numerous places in and around Bangalore and even outside Bangalore. And actually I was also thinking of even exploring other places like Himalayas and
Wow.
even other places outside Karnataka.
Right.
But right now, because of the pandemic, things are on hold.
Yes.
because, of the, because of the situation outside, we haven't been able to hold an offline program since almost 1.5 years now, almost
Right.
more than 1 year now.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's why we've been exploring the online version of Srishti.
Okay. Okay. All
So,
right.
Since the pandemic, we have been doing Srishti online, where where we speak to them online about, we teach them yogic practices online. We speak to them about food,
Mm-hmm.
speak to them about nature, and then we ask them to do these experiments at home
Right.
and send us pictures or videos of them. So
Yes.
we've been trying to replicate that, and that has also been very successful because we've had kids across the world join, and they're just waiting so enthusiastically for the offline program. That
Right.
when can they really come and meet? So, but even online, we have been able to make a big impact. People have started, parents have shared that kids have started changing the way they eat. They've been eating fruits, they've been eating vegetables, they've been eating raw food, which they were
Wow.
doing before. And they've been they're spending time in the soil by doing some gardening activity. That's how they're being in touch with nature. They're going out to lakes, mountains, treks, etc. Instead of going to fantasy parks, etc. They spend
Wow.
time in nature, and they are also started doing yogic practices. So it's possible to do this online, at least to inspire children. So that's how we have been doing the Srishti online version. And as things change, we will be very happy to start the offline version as well. So
Yes.
it's a program very close to our heart because it involves children, and we also started this version with adults. So we did a couple of programs where family could join. People could come along with their kids if they wish to, or they could just come on their own. So
Right.
that also went well. We are hoping to do more of such programs if there's enough. If there are a lot more requests, we are planning to do more programs for adults as well. Similarly, retreat programs like this. So,
Yes.
so that's why. So we have a rich mix of programs where it could. These programs, like the residential programs, are more experiential in nature, where they can even live these aspects. They can live a yogic lifestyle for a few days. They can eat that kind of food. They
Correct.
can stay in that atmosphere, and naturally, being in touch with all the elements is possibility. So, so yeah, so that's how it is. So you should, so as a parent, if parents are here, they should definitely try to see, if they haven't started, they should see how they can make yoga a part of their life. And if for them it becomes important, then naturally they'll see how to impart this to the children as well. They
Yes.
should see how children can be exposed to this early on. If their children are not very interested in yoga, then they should try these experiential camps, these residential programs,
Yes.
where at least they get a overall perspective, and suddenly they may become more interested in yoga. Because now they had a good experience. We have seen so many things, so many cases like this. They
Yes.
came for a program where they had so many other fun elements, and now they became more interested in yoga.
Wow.
Because what happens is it's also about how they are learning it.
Mm.
Generally, when they learn yoga in school, they find it very boring.
Yeah.
So generally, if parents talk to them about yoga, they say, "Oh, I'm not interested," because they've had such a bad experience in school. The way they have been taught, that there's nothing which is interesting in that, and also the way they have been taught, so they don't associate it with something fun or
Yes.
with something which is good for them.
True.
So how the teacher is and how they interact with them and how they offer it and what kind of format they offer it, all these things make a big difference for children
Yes.
in terms of
Yes.
how they really connect with it. So so it's very, very important they learn it from the right source and they learn it in the right atmosphere. And if that is offered early on in their life, it can be a it can make a big difference in their life.
Oh,
Every
yes.
aspect of their life can be enhanced, whether it's academics, the way they grow up, the way they handle themselves, the way how responsible they become, and the decisions which they make. You'll see nowadays children are making decisions very early on in their life. They're A lot of them are tending to. I see whenever I visit the ashram, I see so many youngsters.
Yeah.
Because they're realizing very early on that what is most important for them.
Yes.
So that's how it is actually. So it should definitely be started early on, I feel.
Yes, yes. Of course. I mean, I also truly believe that, it has to start from that very nascent stage, yoga for children. And well, thank you. I mean, of course, for your initiatives and sessions again, for talking to us about it, Srishti being one. And I think I'm quite curious and also interested, to of course experience Srishti for adults, which you were mentioning, probably in the near future once the pandemic is through, and we have the sessions going offline as well. So I would be happy to participate in it.
Yeah.
Um,
Similarly, I wanted to also share with you, we're also
yes.
doing an initiative for underprivileged children.
Yes, I
So,
was about to ask you that. Yes.
okay. So we started doing this because we saw there were a lot of people, especially kids and other sections of society,
Mm-hmm.
who are missing out on our programs because they're not able to afford it. So we wanted to start something for them as well.
Yes.
So I started this initiative called as Agastya,
Mm-hmm.
and as you know, Agastya Muni was one of the disciples of Adi Yogi Shiva. He was one of the seven disciples, Saptarishis,
Yes.
and he had a huge role to play, especially in the south of India, because it was because of his work that yoga was something which was resonating in each and every home in the south of Deccan, right?
Right.
So he played a very important role. So I wanted to do this, name this after him. So we started so that it becomes like yoga for all.
Yeah.
So we started this initiative called as Agastya, where the idea was how we can offer yoga to these underprivileged sections. So we wanted to make this also sustainable. Otherwise, this will be something which you will do only on International Yoga Day, or that's how most initiatives happen. Because what happens is, on a certain day you want to do something for the society, and then you step out and you volunteer and you offer, and they enjoy on that particular day, and after that they forget about it.
I know.
It doesn't happen again. So
Yes.
we wanted to make it sustainable as for them and for us as well. So we thought that we should design some program where it's not just for a one-time offering where they learn something and after that they may not make it a part of their life. But if suppose we are able to design something where this can become a part of their life and they can implement this. So then we thought of a model, and we started off with an orphanage in Bangalore, where we designed a model where it's free for them, but somebody else sponsors it at a very nominal cost, so
Okay.
that it becomes sustainable for us as well, and so that we can even scale it up as and when it grows. So then we came up with this model where someone can sponsor, let's say, if they want to sponsor one kid, they can sponsor for INR 500 per year,
Right.
and as part of that we take care of the child, and we offer about four yoga sessions per year
Wow.
and continual follow-up. Like every time we do a yoga session, then in, let's say, in that particular orphanage, then after that we assign someone who is there to kind of continuously send us updates whether it's happening as part of the daily schedule. So first of
Right.
all, before we start itself, we discuss with them and we say, see, we'll offer it to you for free, but someone is sponsoring it. So we would want certain updates and commitment from your end that you make it a part of the daily schedule. And then you keep sending us updates, whether they are practicing or not. And then every 3 months we'll end up there and we correct them. We try to teach them something new. We see how they are doing. We do course corrections. So like this, in just about 3 4 interventions a year, we can ensure that they're practicing for the rest of the year. So that was the kind of model which we came up with, and we saw that it was successful, because that orphanage where they were not practicing yoga on a regular basis, suddenly after this initiative they started making this a part of their daily life, and the organizers were the caretakers were very happy with it, and it's still going on. It's been almost 2.5 years now, it's still happening there. So then we tried to scale it up, and we did in some few other places, government
Nice.
schools, then even a center for special children in
Mm-hmm.
Karnataka in Bellary district. We did it there also. So these
Right.
special kids, they were different kinds of disabilities, or they were especially abled, if I have to put it in a more appropriate way. So some of them are autistic, or some of them are having other disability, some other concerns. So irrespective of that, we try to see what best we could offer them and
Mm-hmm.
how they can make this a part of their life. So we designed a program for them and we offered it to them. So like this, we have been growing in that project. So we're always looking for people who want to support this. If they wish to sponsor, they can do that. If they want to do it on a corporate level, they can take it up and they can help us with that. and also we are looking for committed organizations who would like to implement this in their in their place. For example, if there's an orphanage, or
Mm-hmm.
if an underprivileged center, or or a school for specially able children, or something, a school for the blind, or whatever else. If there is a center which needs help, and if they are interested in starting this initiative in their particular organization or campus,
Yes.
and they can get in touch with us, and we can see if it is possible to design a program for them and to organize a program for them. The only commitment which we need is that whatever they learn, it should be a part of their daily schedule,
Right.
because that's how they will see an impact, and it shouldn't be something which they just do it once in a while.
Yes.
So we want to make sure that wherever we offer this, we create a certain impact there. It makes a difference for them. And this difference, even the sponsors can see, because if they are contributed, at least they can help in contributing something to enrich someone's life, to make yoga a part of someone else's life.
Oh,
So that's
yes.
how we have designed that initiative, and we'll be happy if someone wishes to support us in taking this. Right now, because of the pandemic, we've kind of been slowed down in this particular initiative, because most of the places we were doing offline classes.
Correct.
Because of the pandemic, many of them have gone back home, like in orphanages or these
Mm-hmm.
schools, etc. So these government schools are not running right now. Most of them are having just starting with classes slowly.
Mm-hmm.
So because of that, we have kind of we have been held back in many ways because of the pandemic.
Right.
But as things improve, and if organizations have the capacity to do online classes, we can even start with that. So that's also a possibility. So either online or even offline, if it's possible, we would be happy to work with such organizations. So
Yes.
if someone is interested and they have something in mind like this, they can always get in touch with us, or they can even volunteer in some capacity, for example, in reaching out to more people,
Right.
or in supporting us on this project by content creation or whatever else. So if anyone is interested, they can reach out to us, by visiting our website. They'll see a project called as Agastya, and then they can fill up that form in whichever capacity they would like to help.
Wow. All right. That's wonderful. I mean, that's some commendable job out there. And I just hope the listeners listening would, of course, take part in these initiatives or the sessions in whatever way possible. And I hope more and more people join in. So thank you for offering so many varieties for adults as well as children. Right. So I just have final two questions. One is with respect to the pandemic. As you were saying, like, you were doing offline sessions, but then, considering the pandemic, you have brought it online. So I want to know from the business aspect. So what were the positive and negative way the pandemic has impacted your business or your initiatives? So was it good, or was it something a negative where we could not reach out to more people? So how has it been? If you could tell us in a nutshell.
Yeah, so basically, initially when this happened, as I said even earlier,
Hmm.
for me, I've always been looking at situations, even if they are challenging, as a way to grow,
Yes.
and trying to see if we can look at what what we can make out of this, and how we can use this for our growth.
Right.
So similarly, this also was a very challenging situation, because we were doing only offline programs until
Yes.
the pandemic hit, and we were just doing AHAR program online.
Okay.
So that also was not like not on a large scale. We used to do programs once in a while, once in 2 months or so. We used to have
Hmm.
about 530 people in coming in, and
Right.
most of the programs were offline. So that
Hmm.
was how the situation was.
Okay.
And suddenly, when this happened, we were kind of lost, thinking, what will happen.
Yeah.
Because now at Isha, we don't have permission to do all the programs online.
Hmm.
Only certain things are allowed online,
Right.
because Sadhguru has kept this that and that certain practices are very it's very important that it's offered in person,
Right.
in a certain atmosphere.
Yes.
Otherwise, it won't have an impact.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So it's not like many other institutes where they have made available all the deepest forms of yoga or all the asanas or all the practices available online. So at
Right.
each there are many rules and regulations regarding what can be offered online, what cannot be offered online, etc. So
Yes.
it kind of it came as a shock for many people that now they're not able to do what they were doing, and we were kind of lost for some time thinking uh,
Yes.
how to still kind of carry on in this particular way
Right.
where we are restricted to a huge extent because 95% of your programs when it's offline and then suddenly you have to stop.
Correct.
So it took me some time to kind of look at it and still see that okay, let's look at this as an opportunity, because until that point of time we were only doing programs for people in and around Bangalore.
Right.
And though we had built a network which
Mm-hmm.
was worldwide, I mean, there were people following us from across the world, from
Right.
different parts of the world.
Mm-hmm.
But still, we could only do programs with those people who are around Bangalore because we were doing offline programs. So we were restricted in that sense. If you look at it, because of the offline thing, we were restricted that we were only accessing a certain geography. And it's
Yes.
not very easy to access different other geographies because then you have to travel, you have to set up, you have to get people in those places. It's not very easily scalable unless you have more people to support you, etc. And I've been running it as like a solopreneur, just trying to do things on my own and trying to use get help wherever possible, either freelancers or volunteers or something which is on a temporary basis, not I
Right.
don't have any permanent people around. So that's how it was, and then I felt that I you wanted to. I just thought that maybe this is an opportunity to reach out to people who have been following us and we haven't been able to reach out.
Right.
So that was a time when Isha also released some guidelines saying that a few things can be offered online,
Mm-hmm.
like Upa yoga sessions,
Right.
food sessions, and sessions with kids where they're teaching Upa yoga practices and talking about food, etc.,
Yes.
and certain meditations, etc. So a small part of their offerings they made it available online also. So that is when I thought that I should see what I can do best with whatever is available instead of kind of grumbling about the situation and thinking that
Yeah.
I'm completely lost and what to do. I thought let's make best use of this. So that is when I just thought about ramping up the AHAR program,
Right.
seeing how we can reach more people. So and then that was when I actually thought about seeing how we can get more people for the AHAR program. And then since it
Yes.
was an online program, we were able to reach people across the world. And since food was something, as I said, people are really interested in,
Yes.
so we were able to get more people. And suddenly, we were even able to cross more than 50 people in our programs, which never happened
Wow.
because all our offline programs were about 15, 20, 25, 30 max. So
Correct.
now, because of this online not having a limitation in terms of number, at least we could scale up easily if we wanted to. Because anyway, we are using Zoom or whatever else. You can always, be in the same place and still manage,
Yes.
and reaching out to a bigger number. So that's how then the number started increasing because we started doing online programs, and also because our audience was anywhere there,
Yeah.
and it's just that now they had an option to be a part of our programs.
Correct.
So and it was most needed also because during the pandemic everybody was looking for healthy options, how to eat
Yes.
healthy, how to how to do yoga, how to do meditation. So that's why actually it kind of fell in place. So
Mm-hmm.
actually it turned out to be a blessing in disguise because of the demand for yoga increasing, and because more and more people had more time on their hands, they couldn't complain about not having time.
Mm-hmm.
And they had all the time necessary to focus on their well-being,
Yes.
and now it was online and they could spend time being in front of the system and
Right.
still grow. So because of all these things, actually our network increased,
Yeah.
expanded. So then after that, I also thought about doing the Srishti program online. Anyway, it was doing so well offline. So I thought maybe I should launch an online version of it.
Yes.
So then I launched it online, and even in the first program, I think we had more than 100 kids joining from across the world.
Oh, wow.
Mhm. Yeah. So then we were able to cater to them. Then we did many such programs actually, and after that, we've been continuing doing these Srishti programs online,
Wow.
the AHAR program online. Then actually after that, after a few months, I came up with a newer program which was called as Dvijas,
Yes.
where I thought I'll speak about all the aspects related to one's well-being, and also I'll start that early morning during Brahma Muhurta.
Oh, wow.
So there's a certain timing in yoga
Yes.
we say which is very conducive for yogic practices,
Right.
which is between 3:40 a.m. to 4 a.m. So we thought we'll design a program so that people can get up during that time and make use of that time. So we launched a program where it starts from 3:30 a.m. to 4:30 a.m. in the morning. So
Wow.
it was like a crazy idea
I know.
because nobody thinks of doing a program so early. But
Yes.
pandemic makes you do all such crazy things, you know.
So true.
So I thought, let me try with that, try doing this program because even I thought that I should, if if I could get up early, at least
Yes.
because of the program,
Yes.
there'll be so many other people who would also wanting to get up early and make use of that time because if they only manage to do one thing, which is get up early, then
Right.
they only have so much time on their hands.
Right.
We launched this program, which is Twitches, starting at Brahmamurtam. And to my surprise, we had more than 150 people or something, jump
Oh.
the first program. So that is how it's been it is for us.
Mhm.
Always looking at things as an opportunity to enhance ourselves, to
Yes.
see what's needed. Okay, right now this is the situation we are in. This is what people need. Can we do something, for it? So like this, we have come up with more offerings, and just few days before, I announced two more new programs
Oh, wow.
online. We want to start Hindi programs also online,
Mm.
and want to start another program to have a group of spiritual seekers and to constantly support them to learn from each other. We named the program as Sangha. So like this, we have come up with different offerings. So if I look at it, I see that even this time, which was supposed to be a very hard time,
Right.
in this time we could use to grow. It's not something which kind of paralyzed us or made us stop doing whatever we were doing. It
Yes.
actually helped us to reach out to people at the time when they needed this the most,
Yes.
in ways in which they could access it. And we are continuing to do that. Even now, we are continuing to come up with more newer offerings where they can be online and they can learn. And even when we start our offline programs, we are not going to stop most of our online programs because there are constant demand for it.
Yes.
Almost like every few months, I'm doing this AHAR program. We have one starting in a few days' time. So we keep on doing these AHAR programs, this Srishti program, the Dvijas program, and even other offerings which we are trying to do. So
Right.
in one way, it has helped us come up with stuff which we wouldn't have normally come out with.
Yes.
If it was not for the pandemic, we wouldn't have come out with these kind of programs. So in one way, it's a blessing because
Yes.
now that this has happened, now we know that we can even continue with this, and we have reached out to a newer audience. We have reached out. Suddenly, our scale has become from local to global. Just being in
Yes.
the same place, we are able to reach out to people across the world. So every cloud has a silver lining, as they say. It's just
Yes.
about how you look at it,
Right.
and whether you look at it as a hurdle or whether you look at it as a possibility. That's the only difference, actually.
True. That's beautiful. And I was just about to say the same, every cloud is a silver lining. And yeah, whether it is rain or shine, I think it's just how you want to make use of the resources at hand and, whatever opportunity is out there. I think just making use of it and providing something which is of beneficial to people. And yes, I mean, you are of course a testament of that during the pandemic, and of course otherwise as well. I think it's just beautiful that, again, time and again I've been saying this, that it's just so nice that it's been like a gamut of sessions and workshops that you're providing out to people, and of course putting out that essence of yoga in many of, thousands of people's lives. So that's really wonderful. um well, lastly, my last question for today is, yeah, so I mean, of course, during the pandemic, as you clearly mentioned, well-being was of utmost importance, and people wanted to learn about, of course, food or well-being, or a whole lot of things that related to yoga. But I want to know, what do you indulge in? Of course, you do the yoga, I know that. But is there anything that you indulge in apart from yoga? Is there anything else that we do not know that Mukul does apart from yoga?
Okay. See, the thing is, I'm interested in a lot of things actually. It's just a matter of whether I'm able to get that time to do all these things.
Yes.
So I really enjoy a lot doing a lot of things apart from yoga.
Mm-hmm.
My whole life revolves around yoga, and for me, it's like using every situation as a
Yes.
means for my growth and as a sadhana, as I say.
Yes.
So it's like a tool, for me.
Mm-hmm.
But apart from doing my practices, my yogic practices, I'm really interested in traveling, in exploring newer places, especially the mountains. I have love for mountains actually.
Yes.
So if I could, uh, if I have the space, I would like to, every few months just go off to some place like the mountains and spend time over there in nature.
Right.
I also love music,
Mm-hmm.
and I've always been wanting to learn something like the guitar or drums or even Carnatic stuff.
Right.
And it's just that I've not been able to take out time much to pursue these other interests. But
Yes.
I'm really interested. It's just that I have not been able to take out much time because of the stuff which I've taken up. It
Right.
takes off. It's really it takes so much effort and time because there's so much to do always. As I said, there's
Yes.
always more to do than I can manage. So time is always
Yes.
a challenge. So I've really interested in music, in travel.
Mm-hmm.
Also love watching movies,
Wow.
and I would love to go out and especially try out different kinds of new places. If I'm in Bangalore, I usually tend to go to different places to eat out with friends.
Yes.
So there are many things which I would like to spend more time on, and it's not that I'm not interested in any of these things.
Yeah.
And will also like to spend enough time on these pursuing these aspects. So I'm just trying to see wherever I can get time and trying to manage whatever I can manage with my schedules. So what I usually do is I usually spend let's say about a few months teaching programs,
Right.
and then after that for a month or two I usually don't teach, and that's when I usually go off. Either I'm traveling to a new place, or most of the time I'm going to the ashram, the Isha Yoga Center, and
Yes.
spending time there. Because usually I like to take off at least 7 days once in 3 months for silence,
Right.
where I'm not doing any activity and I'm just in silence.
Right.
And that I feel has made a huge impact in terms of how I am within myself.
Yes.
It allows me the space to look within myself, to evolve,
Yeah.
to break certain patterns which I've gotten into if it's compulsive, and to again start afresh.
True.
So I usually spend time with that, and I see if I can travel to a new place, and especially the mountains. So last few years I visited the Kailash mountain range,
Wow.
Kailash and Mansarovar. I went there. That was one of the turning points for me, just with being in that place.
Mm-hmm.
I visited Ladakh, then I had been to Rajasthan, I had been to Andamans. So all these places, though they're different nature, but each of them left a very different kind of impact on me.
Yeah.
So I love to spend more time on that if I can. So usually once I'm done with programs for 2 3 months, then I try to take off a few months and then try to pursue these activities where I can spend more time doing these stuff. So that's how I've been trying to do manage stuff. So I try to do things continuously for a while, uh, programs, and then take off a few months and then pursue other stuff. And that's how it is. But definitely, I would like to spend more time if I can manage. If I become a little more organized, if I'm able to manage my time a little better, and if able to get more help, then I like to spend more time. And I would like to, you know, see if I can learn some music, try to play the guitar or the drums or Carnatic, or
Wow.
just spend some time, more time, exploring this, because music by itself is the world on its own. Like
True.
it's also it's nice to come out of your comfort zone
Yes.
and experiment with something, because you don't know what can work for you. Sometimes when you do things which are completely unrelated, that is when actually it opens up things within you, and
Yes.
then you realize there's so much to explore. So that's how it is. So I would definitely love to see if I can explore so many other aspects as well.
Wow.
But
Wow.
definitely for me, yeah, the irrespective of whatever I do, the the head of the arrow has always been yoga, where
Yes.
because how I'm within myself, that's something which is more important than anything else. Rest, everything revolves around it. Whether I'm
Yes.
doing this activity or that activity. Today I'm running Yogi Re. Maybe a few years down the line I may not be doing this. I may be just volunteering in the yoga center full time, or I may
Right.
be doing something else. So that doesn't make a difference, right? Because at the end of the day, it's not that I've left pursuing what I'm doing. So that is the most important. A few years before, I was volunteering. Now I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Maybe a few years down the line, I'm doing something else. But even earlier, my seeking didn't change, and even now, it's not changed. And that's what I would not want to change even further down. So that's something which remains constant, and rest, everything, whatever happens based on the situations, that's something I'm okay with it. So whatever is external, so that's something based on the situation, based on the needs, based on what is needed, you can always take that up, because spirituality is not about what you do on the outside.
Yeah.
Some people think that spirituality means you should live a different life.
Yes.
You should kind of leave things which most people normally think is life, and you should do something else. So that's not what spirituality is, because spirituality means something which is internal, how you are within yourself. It means accessing a dimension which is beyond the physical.
Yes.
So for that, what you do on the outside is not an impediment.
Right.
It is something which you can decide based on what is your need, what is your choice, and what you can handle.
Yeah.
It may help you, it may support you, or it can become an impediment for you only if you look at it that way.
Right.
But it is not something which is directly impacting you, your spirituality, right? So if you look at Sadhguru, he's like doing every possible thing which most people are doing, and still the way
Yes.
he's within himself is very different, right?
True.
So he's like a living example to show that you can do whatever you want to do on the outside. You don't need to leave anything. You
Yes.
don't need to sacrifice anything, or you don't need to do anything different
Right.
to become spiritual. It's just that how you approach it, how you're within yourself, that changes.
Mm.
So that's something which I always try to keep in mind, that this is not a disability.
Yeah.
Your spiritual path is not a disability. It's not something which means that you're doing living an abnormal life.
Yes.
But whether you want to do things which people are doing normally doing, that's up to you. If you choose to do it, then or if you choose not to do it, it doesn't mean that that has anything to do with spirituality as a whole. It just is something which is your individual choice. it can be helpful for you. It's so you're doing it. If you feel that it's not needed for you, you're not doing it. But that doesn't mean that that is what defines spirituality, or that is what defines a spiritual person. Anybody can do anything what they want and still be spiritual if they wish to. So it's not a disability. It's not something where you are bracketed as an odd person. So that's not it. Yeah,
Right,
you
right.
can do whatever cycle you want to do and still be spiritual. That is what,
Yes.
yeah.
Yes, I mean, yeah, so truly said. I mean, so well said, of course. For the fact that I mean, you can be doing anything. I think, yeah, you can be on an adventure, or you can be a dancer, or you can, be in one of the probably an IAS officer. I mean, you can be anything. I think spirituality is all about something, as you clearly mentioned, it's something to do with yourself, your inner self, and working towards it. No matter the external situation, I think that's what it is. Yeah, and so thankful that you brought out all of these aspects, and of course stressed upon the most important thing, which I really wanted to put across, is spirituality is of course not a disability. It's not something that you are on and you have to get away from the usual workings of life, which most people think. So it's not that. It's of course getting to know yourself better, and of course so that you can function better and put out amazing things which could be of beneficial value to others. So that's what it is, and thank you for being a testament of that. So it's really wonderful. Before we end, I just have a very small section. It's going to be just a rapid fire. It's just 5 questions, so we can take about 5 minutes. So it's going to be quick. So yeah, I think I am interested to to shoot you with those questions. So are you ready?
Right. Sure.
Okay.
You
All
can fire
right.
slowly, I'll fire slowly.
Okay. The yogi way. Yes. All right. My first question is, so what is your ikigai? I think I already know the answer to it. But yes, what is your ikigai? So ikigai is nothing but the reason for your being. So what is that one thing that you would do on any given day, no matter what is happening around the world?
You know the answer.
Yes. It has to be yoga.
Yes.
Oh,
Irrespective of the situation, somehow make it happen.
yes, yes, absolutely. All right. Okay, my second question. Uh, okay, it can be any of these. So any person who inspires you, or you can talk about any book which has inspired you. So a person or a book, you can choose any.
Okay. Person anyway.
Yes, I do. Sadhguru, it is.
Book, I don't think anything has inspired because I have read many books. I
Okay,
always see that inspiration is always short lived.
right. Oh,
So
yes.
you always read a book and then you feel that, yeah, you want to take some action. And then after a few weeks, it kind of, dilutes. It's kind of fades off. So
Right.
I've never really been inspired to take any life transforming action by reading a book. So it
Yes.
has always been just seeing live examples. If I see a living example of a book, then
Yes.
it's much better than reading a book. So
Wonderful.
that's how Sadhguru really, because whatever I thought about how a person should be, and I had read books about it, and but here was a person who was living it, who's kind of an example of how things should be, and he's constantly trying to showcase that. See, this is how, this is what it is. Yoga is not about a philosophy or a science or something which is there in the textbooks, but it's something which you can live.
Right.
So just seeing a person like this,
Yeah.
in person, this itself is like the biggest inspiration that, oh, something like this is possible. It is definitely possible. If it was just in textbooks, I would have read maybe about Swami Vivekananda or Paramahansa or someone else like that. Or
Yes.
whoever else, we would have felt like, yeah, those people were like that. Krishna was like this. But now you see a person in front of you who's like this, so you cannot make excuses and think, oh, it's not possible.
Right.
Here's a living example. So this itself is a huge blessing, to have someone where they're showing you, because the rest everything is something which is there in textbooks. You have read about so many people, successful people.
Right.
So I've read about many successful people as well.
Mm-hmm.
But if they are not a success overall, if it's mostly when we say brand people are successful, you usually talk about the monetary aspect. They've either made big companies or this or that. But you've seen many of these people even go bust after some time.
Yes.
This is what is really lasting. It's like how you are within yourself, and if you have found light within yourself, that is something which is not just for this generation but for many generations to come. You
Right.
still remember, right? So that is where I felt most inspired with.
Okay, perfect. A perfect answer.
Hmm.
All right. So my third question is, hypothetically, if you turn out to be the richest person in the world tomorrow, what would you like to do, or would you continue to do what you're already doing?
See, even if it happens so that I happen to be the richest person, yeah, I would still continue to do whatever I'm doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And because this is something which, as I said, I chose because I felt that this is something which is needed right now.
Right.
So it's just that I may be doing something in a different capacity, that's all.
Yes.
And right now I'm doing something which is related to yoga, where I'm running this.
Right.
Maybe now I would be doing something else, but still I would continue doing something related to yoga. I would still want
Yes.
to spend my life and energies in that direction because I feel this is what is most needed. So
Yes.
maybe what I'm offering, the way I'm offering, or whatever I'm offering, the way I'm offering it, or the in terms of what I'm offering can it could be in different ways.
Right.
So that could change. But in terms of where I would like to spend my time and energies on, I would still like to focus on seeing whatever I can do to enhance or to see how consciousness can improve,
Right.
how we can make people more conscious, and whatever I can do and to contribute towards that, I would still like to do. It's not about yoga, it's because yoga is not about just a practice.
Right.
It's about everything. It's about anything which you take up, the way you approach it, the way you do it. So it doesn't matter what happens on the outside, if in terms of money, if you're asking. So if that happens also, the focus won't change. It's just that maybe what I'm doing, I may do it a little differently. So that may change.
Yes.
Maybe I'll have many more people to help, or or probably I won't be even doing any of this, and I'll be just just closing my eyes and sitting and not doing any activity. Nothing
Right.
yoga programs. That is also possible if I want to do that. And
Yes.
at least I have the even now, if I want to, I can. If I want to stop teaching, I can stop teaching, and I just do that. I don't have any big requirements.
Right.
Yeah, maybe hypothetically, if that happens, that could be much more near a possibility. If that happens.
Yes. Wow. All right. Okay. Okay, I want to know the answer to this. So do you have any desire apart from imparting yoga to many a people?
Hmm. I don't know actually. Desire.
Okay.
I actually I did think about this, and I felt that one of the things which I wanted to do was, if this is possible, I wanted to see if I can visit many places in the world.
Wow.
So I wanted to explore many more places, because whenever I have gone to a new place, I've seen that it has opened up something within me.
Yes.
Something I always feel that just exploring or traveling to new places, it kind of brings forth certain aspects. Something within me changes, or it gives a different perspective.
Right.
So I've been thinking of this, that maybe I should. come up with some way in which I can, maybe go around different places and visit different places in the world,
Right.
and also see if I can teach. Maybe I should see how to make it sustainable. That's why I'm saying I may need to teach.
Yes.
Because otherwise, where to get the funds to go to different places?
Right.
Probably I have to see how to make it sustainable so that even if I am traveling to different places and I'm visiting different countries. Let's say if I happen to visit that country and if I teach a few programs,
Yes.
I can cover my costs, and
Yes.
that way it can be sustainable. So I'm thinking maybe it's not a burning desire, but maybe yeah, if that happens, it would be nice actually if I can make that happen.
Oh, yes.
It'll be definitely something which will be enhancing, and which I can also see and explore and see the different types, because it just really amazes me that there's so much to learn. Even in India, every region has a different kind of cuisine, the people, the language, and this and that. So it's such a variety which exists that it can only enhance you, it can only enrich you, and can make you more encompassing if you just try to imbibe these things. So I was thinking that maybe this is something I should try to see if I can. Plus, that would also be an opportunity for me to explore the different kinds of spaces people have built, because there are really some magnificent places in terms of
Yes.
architecture, in terms of its natural beauty, in terms of its atmosphere. So yeah, I've been thinking maybe that is one desire.
Wow, that's wonderful and such an interesting one. So I hope you get to do that quite soon and shortly, and of course make it as you were mentioning sustainable as well. All right. So moving on, what is your definition of success?
So I don't know if I should have a definition for that.
Okay.
Yeah, as long as you're doing something which is which is impacting people's lives positively, if it's something which people are mentioning that this is something which is touching us, your work is really impacting us, your time, your energies is really impacting our life,
Yeah.
then I would say that there is some element of success in what you're doing. And also, if you are able to see if how you can, if your life itself is a process where you are constantly growing
Yes.
within yourself.
Yeah.
If both these things are happening, I feel that's a great recipe for success, because to be in a place where you're constantly growing within yourself, you're seeing how to enhance yourself, and also that you are able to positively influence or at least impact other people's lives. Your work, your energies, your time is making a significant difference in other people's lives. Then that is a huge, I would say that is a huge success, because that is what is really most needed, right? That whatever time you have on this planet,
Yes.
are you able to use it for your well-being and for others' well-being? Is because that's the only thing which you have, time. And is this time being utilized for your well-being and for others' well-being?
Yes.
And if not you, but they are saying that yes, it is helping,
Yeah.
then that's like uh, you know a, a figure which you can think whether it's successful or not. Because you may think you are successful because you have made a lot of money, or you have set up a few companies, or did this or did that. So that can still be impacting people. But if that's what people are saying, that yes, your work or your presence has really touched us, has impacted us, and there's no better thing than that, where you can be a part of this, trying to help people in whatever they're looking for, in trying to enhance their lives, and also to see how you can grow. So that is the ultimate success which one can aim for, I feel, that doing both these things to positively impact someone else, and also to see how you can use your time to the best possible way, in the best possible way.
Yes, beautiful. Thank you for that. All right. Okay, one last thing. So what is one takeaway that you want to give the audience? Any last few words or a tip or a lesson? This is for listeners or the audience who are new pruners who want to take on this entrepreneurial journey, or who are ones or the ones who are already on this journey and want to scale their business. So from your perspective as a solopreneur, so what would you like to tell them?
See, one of the most important things which I've learned and which I felt is something which helped me navigate and which is continuing to help me navigate is a single thing of looking at every situation as a stepping stone or an opportunity for you to grow.
Yeah.
Initially, what happened for me was I was looking at every challenge which came my way as an obstacle.
Mm,
So, as an entrepreneur, you will see that you will come across many, many different challenges, right? It could be in terms of finance, it could be in terms of people, and it could be in terms of family support, so many things. So you will keep coming up with so many challenges, right? And if you look at each of them as a problem
mm,
or something which is obstructing you, then it's very difficult for you to find a solution, and it may be something which will pull you down.
mm,
So initially, when I started off on the spiritual path, I saw that I was looking at many things as an obstacle. If parents were not supporting, I was looking at as an obstacle. If things are not happening the way I wanted to happen, I was looking at, oh, this is also stopping me from my growth.
yeah.
And that was kind of pulling me down because I was trying to desperately change situations and make it conducive.
Yes.
Then I realized this, and then I saw that one thing which I need to change is now, and I need to look at every situation as an opportunity and not as a challenge, and not as an obstacle. I need to look at it as another situation, right? Whether it is how I make use of it is entirely up to me, and not label it as something which is obstructing me. So the moment I realized this and I changed that, I saw that the situations outside, though it were though it was challenging, the way I was responding to it changed drastically. Now suddenly I was put in the same situations, but now I was making something else out of it.
Right.
So just like I was giving you the example of the pandemic, instead of getting all worked up and thinking, oh, it's all over, or what is this, why did this happen, and trying to tear my hair in frustration, I just saw, okay, this is what the situation is and what can I do best, how to look at this as an opportunity.
Right.
So this same thing I have applied in every aspect of my life, because I've come across so many challenges, and I constantly keep on going through so many challenges, especially in terms of family. There have been my parents have been unwell, and so many kind of challenging situations have happened in terms of family front, and it's never been easy to handle. And
Mm,
initially, I used to feel that's an obstacle, and I never got the energy to solve it, because of that.
yes.
But now, when I just look at everything as an opportunity, okay, I think maybe this is a way for me to become more stronger spiritually, and this is for me to continue to do whatever I'm doing, irrespective of all these outside situations. So I look at it in that way.
Right.
When I come across a very difficult situation, I look at it, okay, if I can go through this difficult situation and still continue to do whatever I'm doing, then that's amazing. That means I've really grown.
Yes.
So last few months, during the pandemic, I also it so happened that they were very testing times at home. My mother was diagnosed with cancer. I had to visit the hospital almost 30, 40 times, and I also happened to catch the virus because of one of those visits, I guess.
Right.
And so many uh, testing situations happened. But irrespective of that, I didn't look at it as something which is pulling me down or something which I was trying to resist. I was just thinking, okay, this is another situation I need to handle. How can I handle it and use it for my growth? So when I look at it that way, I'm going through very difficult situations, but it is not leaving me wounded. And this is the biggest learning which I feel is someone can, if they can try to implement. This is one small thing which can really change every aspect of their life. If they just see every situation as a way of enhancing themselves rather than labeling it as an obstacle, or trying to resist it, then you will see every situation, even if it's the most difficult situation, it is actually something which will help you in your growth.
Yes.
And that is, I feel, is the most important, even for a person who's looking to be on the entrepreneurial path. Because one thing which will be a constant on this path is challenges. It
Yes.
doesn't matter which path, which field you choose, but any person who steps onto this path, it's like a path where you're constantly embracing challenges,
Right.
and the better you're able to handle them without getting bogged down, that is what will define how far you go. So this is the biggest thing which I feel I have learned, and I have tried to implement, and that has changed drastically the way I handle situations outside and the way it is impacting me. So I would like to kind of leave that thought in people's minds and see if they can implement this.
Yes, yes, thank you so much. I think that's quite some wise words out there and very, very valuable. Thank you. So, Mukul, how can one reach out to you? Um,
So yeah, so they can visit our website.
mhm.
Our website is yogiray.com. So if they go to www.yogiray.com, you will see our email ID and our WhatsApp number. So you can always reach out to us using any of these means. And also we are there on social media. But it's best if they can reach out to us either on WhatsApp, the number which is given on the website, or by email. So that's something they can always do. And we are there on other platforms as well, on social media, etc. So we can always connect.
All right. Yes, thank you
Our
so much.
programs are also listed on the website. So if they're interested to know more about our programs, etc., it's all there on the website actually.
Yes, yes, absolutely. So, thank you so much. I shall surely leave these links in the episode description as well. And of course, thank you. And I mean, I had such an amazing conversation with you, and it's truly been insightful, and very very earthy. And of course, it brought out the elements for me as well, I think, pertaining to being an yogi in whatever be the situation that life is throwing. I think one thing is always certain, that we need to look within ourselves and respond accordingly, rather than blaming the situations or the people around us. And thank you again. I mean, I just enjoyed our conversation, and you have inspired me again to be an undercover yogi, no matter the situation. And I'm so honored to have you on my show. So thank you so much for that amazing talk and insights that you've given us. Thank you.
Thank you so much as well, because these questions actually helped me probe more into my life and to look back and see how things have progressed. And it's always nice to connect with seekers, and doesn't matter what path you're pursuing, but if there's an element of seeking within you, it's
Yes.
always nice to connect with people who are on the same path, or at least who are genuinely seeking. So it has been a learning experience for me as well, just speaking with you and trying to look at all these things in depth. Trying to see if I can relive these memories and see how things have happened. So thanks for taking the time and for coming up with such thoughtful questions, which kind of have made me look deep within myself. So, really appreciate your time. And I also wish you the best in your endeavors, because this is something which you are starting as an entrepreneur or a solopreneur. And I hope you are able to reach out to newer audiences, and this something which you can do well as in whatever you have taken up. So I wish you the best as well in your journey. Thank you
Thank
so
you so much. Thank you so much again. Yes, thank you.
much.
Namaskaram.